Chapter 21, Attack of the Mages. This chapter is told from Labrie's point of view. It was the night of the day when the three childhood friends were together for the first time in a while, and Labrie's hurried on her way home. The sun had set, and it was completely dark around her. Only the faint light of the spring moon dimly illuminated the main road. Today was a fun day. Labrie's thought back to the time she'd just spent in town and smiled. She managed to have fun with those two. Even Crom, who always felt distant. His face had been looking sullen lately, but he smiled a lot that day. Too bad this day couldn't last forever. Being with them was just too much fun. But that was why she couldn't ask that question. She felt she might destroy something precious if she did. I'm sure it's all in my head, she told herself. Crom could use magic she didn't quite understand, but he was still the same kind and good-natured Crom as always. Ask nothing, know nothing, and Crom would stay the same. Surely this fun time would continue if she did that. And for Labrie's, that was enough. But suddenly, without any warning, her peaceful life collapsed. Many figures appeared in front of her. This group was almost like a shadow picture. All of them were wearing the same dark robe, had their faces hidden behind a mask, and held the same kind of staff. Mages? When did they? Labrie's quickly looked around her, and saw she was surrounded by mages from all sides. There was no escape. They completely encircled her in a second. Our master. There is no doubt about it, this is the girl who was wandering around the battlefield yesterday, one of the mages said. His voice was flat to the point of being unsettling, and there wasn't even any way to tell which of them was speaking due to the robes and masks. I heard the hero was a young girl, but could it be? She does seem to have the aptitude. The magic energy around her is of very high quality. We will know when we dissect her. The mages looked at Labrie's like a lab rat, and whispered to each other. Labrie's had no idea what was going on. All she knew was that it was deeply unsettling. What are you? Labrie's glared at the mages while grabbing her sword, but her voice trembled. Her heart was pounding strongly. These mages are all strong. Her instincts told her. No, we are not random suspicious people, we are from the Sorcerer Association. One of the mages said. Their robes did show the crest of the Sorcerer Association, but that was no reason to feel relieved. There was no guarantee that they were really from the Sorcerer Association, but if they were, rather than suspicious, Labrie's felt she had been caught by very nasty people. We have a question for you. Are you that hero who destroyed that large group of monsters? Asked one of the mages. It was a pretty unexpected question. Hero? Labrie's frowned as she thought back to the previous day. She couldn't even imagine exactly what kind of battle went on there, but in the middle of it all, she saw someone who looked like Crom, who had just annihilated a dragon. I don't know what you're talking about, responded Labrie's, after taking some time to pick her words carefully. She felt she could not give a proper answer, because she had a bad feeling about this. Oh well, we will know once we catch her and dissect her. Although there was no emotion in this voice, it was clearly full of enmity. The mages all held up their staves quickly. 5 Boost. Physical Strengthening 5. Labrie's decision-making was fast when it came to battle. She formulated a technique before the mages, and cherry blossom-colored flames of magic energy rose up from her entire body. I'm going to break through a single point. No matter how strong they were, Labrie's figured she would not lag behind if she faced only one. If she broke through the encirclement, she could run away. Not many people could hope to match her speed. Moonheart-style twin blade technique. Twin rabbit chase. Labrie's kicked the ground, while unsheathing the twin swords, which burned with the color of cherry blossoms. She then unleashed a fast attack with her twin swords, to create an opening in the encirclement. 6 Boost. Physical Strengthening 6. But with a thud, the mage in front of her released magic energy that felt like intense pressure, and the next moment, Labrie's was blown away before she knew what was happening. Labrie's went down to her hands and knees after her back hit the ground. It was unbelievable. A mage overpowered her. That's a level 6 spell? It was a level a prodigy could only reach after a lot of training. That was when she noticed the rank insignia on their robes. No way. Her face twisted with despair. Every single mage encircling her was first class. Why are there so many first-class mages here? The Sorcerer Association held tremendous power in the Centaur continent, and only the most outstanding prodigies and titans could reach first class. The people who surrounded Labrys were that strong. It was like they were about to go start a war. Fourth sleep. The first-class mages all held up their staves and chanted at the same time. Labrys quickly felt her consciousness fading, and before long, her body no longer listened to her. And not good. Secrom. She fell limply to the ground, and the mages crept towards her. HMPH. A dud. She does not appear to be a hero, or the one from yesterday. People all hero for that matter. We really do need to comb through Almana. Their voices seemed to be getting further and further away, as Labry's consciousness sank into an abyss. But what about this girl? Our lord. Good vessel. Bring her as a contender for Demon King. Very well. This girl may become a Demon King. The last thing Labrys saw was the crest of the 12 sages, shining on the robe of a mage who looked down at her. Join my Patreon to support me. Chapter 22. The Mysterious Boy. This chapter is told from the enemy's point of view. Some time passed after Labrys Scarlet was captured by the Sorcerer Association. 3 of the first-class mages infiltrated the town of Almana. They crept as they ran through the shadows of deserted places in Almana. They reached the home of the town's feudal lord, the Moonheart residence. It was a simple residence with a modest courtyard and a flower bed. From the outside, it was clear whoever lived there was kind-hearted and loved peace. But that mattered little to the first-class mages. Fourth mute. Silencing Field 4. One of the mages quickly set up a soundproof barrier over a diameter of 10 meters. No matter how much noise was made inside it, no one outside could hear it. They could talk, they could torture, and no one would know. Is this the home of the supposed hero? Asked one of the mages, after checking to see if no one was around. Yes, I hear the girl who lives here is supposedly a hero. She could even be the same person as that hero. Now that I think about it, I've also heard that the servant of this house can use strange magic. Holy Sword isn't here right now, so we should capture them all and dissect them while we have the chance. A hero would get in the way of our plans. We should capture her if possible, and if not, kill her. And if even that is impossible, we should at least prevent. Are you listening, Fuse? Yes. It's all very boring. The youngest mage, the man called Fuse, then ripped the mask off his face and tossed it. He was a prodigy of fire magic, and became a first-class mage at a young age. But with his power came a little bit of overconfidence. No one's going to beat us first-class mages anyway. Even that girl that could use level 5 had no chance against us. So stop with the boring talk. Let's uncover this hero already, Fuse said as he held his staff high. 6 flame. Fireball 6. A large ball of flames appeared above Fuse's head. Heat began to swell from it with a loud noise, as if scorching the air around it. It was level 6 magic, a height that only a few prodigies could reach after a lot of training. Hey Fuse, you're drawing too much attention. It's too powerful. Are you trying to burn everyone to death? That hero or whatever will come to the rescue, right? And if everyone's burned, that means we were wrong. Fuse pointed his staff at the Moonheart residence as if taking aim. Burn. With that scream, the light of his magic circle intensified. Whoosh. The large fireball disappeared, almost as if extinguished by the wind. What? Did you fail? No. No way. There was no way a first-class mage would fail at casting his specialty. At the very least, it didn't feel like he failed at formulating his technique. It felt strange, almost as if he didn't formulate this technique in the first place. This feeling made Fuse very confused. Is there anything you need with us? Someone called out to them, and right from in front of the trio. Fuse immediately held his staff, ready to use it. There shouldn't be anyone there, but in the space of a second, a boy wearing a hood suddenly stood in front of them. Who are you? He felt weird. What was even weirder was the fact that they felt no magic energy whatsoever coming from his body. Even the magic energy that normally flowed naturally in the air wasn't there. Fuse had his magic energy detection active as usual, but it felt to him like there was a hole there. Are you from the Sorcerer Association? I actually wanted to ask you something, so it's convenient for me that you came to me instead. The boy casually approached Fuse, into the soundproof barrier. I received word that my childhood friend, Labrys, didn't return home. The boy smiled, but an intense bloodlust radiated from his body. That was your doing, wasn't it? Join my Patreon to support me. Chapter 23, Monster. This chapter is told from the enemy's point of view. I received word that my childhood friend, Labrys, didn't return home. That was your doing, wasn't it? A group of first-class mages tried to attack the town called Almina, but a mysterious boy, who radiated incredible bloodlust, stood before them. Who are you? Fuse took a step back as he felt this bloodlust that was most certainly not normal for a boy. Even he was surprised by this. Why was a first-class mage feeling this pressure from a boy with no magic energy? It couldn't be. There had to be some mistake. That was when Fuse remembered. The report mentioned a servant in the Moonheart residence that couldn't use any magic whatsoever. It had to be the boy in front of them. Kihaha. I remember. You're Kronigate, aren't you? You're that monkey that was abandoned by the Bellman family because you can't use magic. That also explained why Fuse failed to realize he was approaching them. He had so little magic energy that Fuse's magic energy detection didn't pick it up. Once he reached this conclusion, it all made sense. You come off strong, but it's all just for show. Fuse smiled boldly as a way to disguise the fact that he was pressured by him. Someone who could not use magic could do basically nothing. Fuse concluded that there wasn't even any need to be on guard. Hey, are you serious? A monkey that can't even use magic against first-class mages? Are you really coming at us? You're first-class mages? Hihahaha, a bit late to notice it, don't you think? As an act of intimidation, Fuse released his vast magic energy in the form of crimson flames. The boy stood still, not even saying a word. His eyes simply opened a little wider as he looked at Fuse's magic energy. Hey, you've never seen magic energy like this, right? Are you so scared you can't even open your mouth? Fuse laughed loudly. Yes, that girl was acting tough too, but ended up not doing anything and shaking with fear. Hihaha, the despair on her face was a work of art. What did you do to Labrys? Who knows? She might be dead now, which means she's still alive. So what? Are you going to rescue her alone? Yes, definitely. The boy nodded confidently, and Fuse burst out laughing. Hey, are you serious? Are you still not seeing the reality in front of you? You're going to get killed here. That's been decided already. There's no point in even dissecting you. Fuse licked his deer staff. I've seen my share of conceited small fry like you. That's something weird about humans. Even when they can't do anything, they convince themselves they can do everything. Mercilessly giving weaklings like these a dose of reality. Hihaha, is such an intense pleasure. Fuse held his staff over his head, and began to refine magic energy. There was no way this boy with zero magic energy was the hero they were looking for. There was no point in even dissecting him. All that stood in front of Fuse was burnable waste. As a parting gift as you head to the afterlife, I'll show you the peak of magic. A large, Level 6 magic circle appeared from Fuse's staff. Level 6 magic was a very clear sign that someone was strong, a height the talentless boy in front of Fuse would never reach no matter how hard he tried. Fuse finished his technique. Here it goes. 6F, too slow. The boy pointed the palm of his hand at Fuse, and the magic circle disappeared. Fuse was frozen in place, with his staff still raised above his head. It all happened so fast. He couldn't understand it immediately. Why did it disappear? He was more mindful of his technique due to the earlier failure. There was no way it was a misfire, and it had to be the same thing that happened before. Also, it still felt to him like he never formulated his technique in the first place. I'm surprised, said the boy quietly while shaking his head. First-class mages these days are this low level. It took you way too long to formulate a simple level 6 spell. What are you? Fuse suddenly realized something as he looked at the boy. Why you? Was it you who erased my techniques? A technique to nullify the techniques of other people. Such a thing didn't exist. It was impossible. In fact, it was unrealistic for someone to see what technique someone else was formulating, and then quickly activate one of their own. If such a thing was possible, a mage couldn't hope to defeat that boy. Can we stop here, at the very least? I've got the information I wanted, so let's end this. Stay away. The boy stepped forward, and Fuse reacted by holding up his staff. Oh, that's right. Mages of this era can't use magic properly without a staff, right? As the boy said this, the staff Fuse was holding suddenly crumbled into a pile of rotten wood chips. He had no idea what was being done to him. It was as though he was being shown something completely different, like much more advanced magic. It was on a completely different level. Fuse's heart was taken by fear, an emotion he had long forgotten since becoming a first-class mage. Help! Fuse instinctively turned to his comrades. He hated to have to admit it, but they were stronger and more experienced than him. Surely they could do something about the boy, he thought. But, without him realizing it, both had collapsed. Their staves were crushed, and they had lost consciousnesses. Why? The confused Fuse could only stand still. Since when? When did he stop hearing them? He was still a first-class mage, and his memory was better than average. And yet, he didn't notice. Are you from the Sorcerer Association? I actually wanted to ask you something, said the boy when he appeared, but he only spoke to Fuse. The boy appeared suddenly, and when he did, this battle was already over. No, it couldn't be called a battle. Only Fuse thought it was. The only reason why he was still conscious was so the boy could have someone to answer his questions. What is this? We're first class, a height only the leading mages in the continent could reach. People so powerful, even nobles and royalty had to kneel before them. No matter how powerful their opponent was, there was no way they could be defeated this easily. Fuse's face became increasingly twisted with despair. The way he saw all his life, reality, common sense, everything was silently collapsing. His mind tried to reject this cruel reality. But one thing he knew, this boy was not a charming being like a hero. Monster, that word fit him well. Yes, I get that a lot. The boy accepted that word with a lonely smile. He placed his hand on Fuse's face. Sorry, but I have to end you as mages. Breaking your staves isn't enough to make me feel at ease. Was that a poor choice of words? Basically, I'm going to destroy your magic circuits. You can't. A first-class mage knew it was impossible. A way to destroy magic circuits hadn't been discovered yet, but he still got the feeling that this boy could probably do it. No! Fuse yelled madly. No. Having his magic circuits broken obviously meant he would be unable to use magic. His precious talent, all the effort he put into it, it would all be worth nothing. He would be expelled from the Sorcerer Association, after working to build a position there. And it wouldn't end there. People who couldn't use magic were discriminated against in this world. Fuse knew all about this discrimination. After all, he loved to oppress such people. And thanks for setting up a soundproof barrier. Fuse had fallen back, and tried to get away without getting up. The boy smiled. We won't bother the neighbors no matter how much you cry or scream. The magic energy that Fuse had been releasing was sucked into the boy's hand. His whole body sparkled like lightning was running through it. Fuse was certain he had no magic energy before, but now his body was filled with it. People couldn't use magic without magic energy in their bodies. Everyone knew that. And yet, he didn't understand. Fuse couldn't understand anything about this boy. Fuse trembled like a frightened child. Maybe it was because of the sheer terror, but his hair started falling. The boy turned to him, and said one final word. End. And then, Fuse realized it. This was a monster that the Sorcerer Association shouldn't have angered. Join my Patreon to support me. Chapter 24. I tried storming the base of the mages. Did you find Laby? I come home after making it so the mages are unable to fight and handing them over to the Vigilance Committee, and I'm welcomed by a pale-looking Elle. Earlier, a messenger from Labry's house was here, and told us she didn't return home. I went out, saying I was going to look around town for her, and engage the mages releasing a shady magic energy. Apparently Elle didn't notice the commotion. So that's good at least. I tried looking around, but I don't think she's here in town anymore. So did she really get dragged into some sort of trouble? No, that Labrys? A little bit of trouble is nothing for her. I smile, trying to reassure Elle, and I already know where she is. Someone who just happened to spot her kindly told me. Ah, really? Yes. I'm going there now to get her. It's not dangerous, is it? It's all right. Just stay here and wait. Why yes. Elle looks up at me with some worry on her face, and follows me until we reach my room. I go in, and close the door behind me. Well then. I let out a big sigh. I'm finally alone, so I don't have to hold back this bloodlust anymore. That Sorcerer Association really kidnapped Labrys. I put on the equipment I prepared to explore the dungeon as my mind races. According to that self-proclaimed first-class mage, Labrys is still alive. She was probably taken to their secret base, and I already know where it is. The Almanor dungeon, a not very deep underground dungeon here in Almanor, and the source of yesterday's calamity. The mages took that dungeon and made it their base, and they've been using its magic energy to do research on how to bring forth demon kings. They probably took her alive for the sake of that research. In other words, to create the second demon king. The first time around, Labrys really did become a demon king. There's a good chance the Sorcerer Association saw that potential in her. Originally, they had trouble finding something to become a demon king, and it took a week for the next demon king to appear. This time, for some reason, the Sorcerer Association found Labrys. I should have paid more attention to the fact that her actions this time are different than the first time. It's alright. It hasn't been that long. Labrys has only been missing for 3 hours, and it should take a few hours for them to take her to their testing site on the last floor. Not to mention all the preparations necessary to create a demon king. Also, I'm sure they don't expect someone to find their base so quickly, so I should be cautious and not rush things. I should still make it in time. No, I'll make it. I'm already prepared to go to the dungeon. I've got a lot of magic stones thanks to all the corpses left by the monster stampede. They're a vital source of magic energy for someone like me who uses external magic energy to use magic. With this many magic stones, I could even fight a demon king. I'm still not feeling 100%, but I'm sure that won't be a problem either. Actually, I'm recovering faster than I expected. I guess that's youth. Well, the fact that I was taking it easy helped a lot too. I've also learned that even in this state, I can easily take on first-class mages of this era, and got to test my anti-mage techniques in the last fight. I'm ready to crush the Sorcerer Association's base. I won't let Labrys become a demon king this time. I'll make them regret putting their hands on my childhood friend. I'm done putting on my equipment. I put on a cloak and hide my face, and put my foot on the window frame. Let's go. As the night wind makes my cloak flutter, I throw myself out the window and into the darkness of the night. The Almanor dungeon is to the west of Almanor, and is considered to be a low-difficulty dungeon. Adventurers know there aren't a lot of high-quality monster materials in this dungeon, so they don't really go there. But still, the Sorcerer Association could have some sort of trick in store to make sure no one gets close to their base. Behind a rock not too far away from the dungeon, I sneakily place my hand on the ground. Time, turn back. I chant quietly, and the time of the ground goes back 3 hours. Multiple footprints appear all around. Hidden footprints. They're the same I saw on the road. I also investigated the main road, and found hidden traces that a battle took place and footprints. The time when those footprints were made matches perfectly with when Labrys went missing. And those footprints lead to the dungeon's entrance. So Labrys really is here. I'm sure of it. Now all that's left is to storm in and destroy that place. Even putting Labrys aside, I can't overlook the Sorcerer Association doing unlawful experiments right next to our town. I quickly make my way to the dungeon. There's a big gate here, with magic writing on it. This ancient ruin is the entrance to the dungeon. It's blocked by a heavy stone door, and 2 guards are standing in front of it. 2 mages. You over there, stop. A mage is alerted and points his staff at me. But all that comes out of it is light to see me better. Oh, it's just a kid. The mages laugh, letting their guard down. Hey, kids should be in bed by now. Are you an adventurer that came here to investigate this dungeon? Too bad, kid. We, the Sorcerer Association, will be investigating it now. Oh, and we'll have to take the monster materials you all got from the monster stampede. You know, for our investigation. I ignore them and keep walking. By the time they start looking at me with puzzled expressions, it's too late. I told you to stop. Stop. The mages stop moving, and I walk by them. As I leave them behind me, their staves break into pieces. Well then, I place my hand on the closed door. Judging by the fine flow of magic energy, there's a pretty firm magic lock here. The mages probably reworked the original door when they decided to make this their base. It would take at least a few days to break through, but it's barely a hindrance for me. Turn back. The door's time rolls back to when it was open. The door slowly opens, and I enter the dungeon overtaken by darkness. Chapter 25. I tried attacking the mage's base. I enter the dungeon that the Sorcerer Association turned into their base, in order to rescue Labries. Haste 7 I run through the stone passages of the dungeon, leaving only magic energy discharges behind me. At this speed, even traps can't catch me. Trap doors open after I pass by them, and arrows fly out too late to hit me. How did? Stop. I stop him before he makes too much noise, destroy his staff, and move forward. I'm glad I memorized the layout of this dungeon before I went back in time. I take the shortest path and approach the stairs that lead me to the next floor. The first floor is done. I've only been here for a minute. It's a good thing this dungeon is that easy. Each floor isn't very big, and there are 12 in total. I'm sure Labries is on the last floor. At this pace, it should take me less than 20 minutes to get there. Are the monsters already back? The monsters that appear in dungeons are made in cultivation rooms hidden within the dungeons, and are resupplied regularly through teleportation magic to guard the dungeons. That's why it should take a while for monsters to start appearing again after the monster stampede. But it looks like the mages have put their hands on those cultivation rooms too. In fact, these monsters look different than the ones that normally appear here. Are those chimera, man-made monsters created with magic? Their magic energy is very unfitting for the difficulty level of this dungeon. Are they under the command of a mage? I don't have an opening. But so what? You're in the way. I unsheathe my sword and slash the monster's vital organs as I run past them. It's my own technique that I've used to slaughter countless monsters. Just as they notice me, they spray blood and collapse. An intruder? He's fast. I start to see more mages by the time I reach the 5th floor. It's really starting to look like their headquarters now. Stop. I stop their time, as they look at me in shock. But I guess I missed one. A loud alarm bell starts ringing and a red light starts blinking inside the dungeon. An attack? How did they get here? Where are those intruders? Low-class mages come out one after the other after hearing the alarm. But increasing their numbers doesn't mean they'll match my speed. Intruders? It's just one person. One person managed to break into this place alone? He's too fast. I can't see. Stop. I stop the mages and pass by them. This dungeon is protected by this era's top-of-the-line security, but security of this era isn't equipped to deal with an attack by a mage from 100 years in the future. Wow, fast? I can't stop him? What's with that? You are? The mages start panicking and their defense collapses. They start trying to run for their lives, and I go around them very quickly. They reflexively raise their staves, but they all rot and crumble. Don't come closer. What is this monster? Stop. This repeats as I keep going deeper into the dungeon. It's only been 10 minutes, and I've been stopping every mage I come across. I don't think most of them even realize there's only one intruder. They can't hope to defend themselves against me like this. My attack on this dungeon is going well, but the magic energy around here is getting thin. Normally, magic energy in dungeons gets thicker the deeper you go. But in this one, magic energy is getting progressively thinner. I'm sure they've been harvesting the magic energy in this place to use in their experiments. I expected this sort of thing, but they really are bad news. I take out a magic stone from my pocket, and toss it into my mouth. I keep going until I reach the 8th floor, and in the open area right after the staircase, I see a group of mages in battle positions. They were waiting for me. There's already a big ritual magic circle here too. 9 Flame. It's a ritual spell that can only be activated with the magic energy and magic calculating power of several people. It's also something that's usually only used against monsters designated as calamities or large armies. The explosion sends parts of the dungeon's floor and walls flying, and my vision is painted with the color of flames. Did we do it? Ha! Ha ha! See that? That's the power of level 9 magic. It was a direct hit. I'm sure there's not even ash left. The mages raise their voices triumphantly, but it all stops as soon as the smoke clears. No way. I'm standing exactly where the explosion hit, without a single scratch on my body. An attack as simple as this is never going to work, no matter how powerful it is. All I have to do is stop my own time. Gather. I extend my hand with the palm facing forward, and the magic energy released all around us thanks to the ritual spell is sucked into it. That large amount of magic energy runs through my body like lightning. Ha! Ha ha! The mages fall back one after the other, with despair on their faces. Monster, I hear as I face them and chant, stop. Join my party on to support me. Chapter 26. Intruder. This chapter is told from the enemy's point of view. The deepest part of the underground dungeon in Almina, in the test site where first-class mages made preparations for their project, an alarm started blaring. 2-6, the one in charge of this place, operated the control panel, and reports started coming from the communications equipment. Hey, what? Mr. 6. We are under attack. What? It was an unexpected report, so 6 was taken aback. So there is someone that foolish out there. He paid no attention to the desperation in the voice of the person on the other side, and smiled without a care. After all, this dungeon had an impenetrable magic defense system, endless traps, rigid locks, guard mages. There were even powerful chimera roaming around. Even an army couldn't hope to break through these defenses. I guess I should at least ask exactly what organization is attacking. We don't know. Everyone who engaged the attackers probably died. We've lost contact with the 5th floor and above. The 6th floor. No. The 6th floor has been breached. Now the 7th. What about the 7th? 6 opened his eyes wide, like cold water had been dumped on him. This dungeon with a test site had 12 floors, and these intruders were already pretty deep, considering the alarm just started ringing. The intruder is one person. Just one person. And then, the communication was cut, but similar screaming reports started coming. All of them said the same thing as the first one. Mr. 6. Help. Instructions. This floor has been breached. What is going on? 6 stood next to the communication device with a dumbfounded look on his face. He had to give instructions, but didn't understand anything. What was happening? Who did they antagonize? 6 was gradually becoming scared about being attacked by a monster he knew nothing about. One intruder. It can't be. This place is a base of the Sorcerer Association, and has the latest magic defense system. It couldn't be true. Even if it was just a regular dungeon, conquering a dungeon alone was too much. It was unreasonable for someone to detect enemies, carry things, and also fight. But at the very least, whatever it was pretty deep into the dungeon. 6 operated the control panel to project the status of the dungeon in the air. The images show the most mages were just standing in place. For a second, 6 started thinking it was all a false alarm, but something was off. Everyone was perfectly still, like they were frozen in place. What happened? He cut to one of the deeper floors, and saw a flash of lighting running through. No, it wasn't just a flash of lighting. Is that a human shadow I see? It was too fast to show up clearly, but it appeared to be the shadow of a boy wearing a hood. This shadow approached the mages in battle positions too fast to really see. 9 Flame. A ritual spell was prepared in anticipation of the enemy's arrival, and was fired against the shadow. The incredibly powerful flames quickly engulfed him. The image was shaking due to the smoke and noise, but it did show the attack was a direct hit. So he was just fast, but nothing much aside from that. 6 sighed heavily. But when the smoke cleared, the shadow stood unharmed. What? The shadow formulated a technique with a method Six had never seen, and all the mages suddenly stopped moving, as though they were frozen in place. Six had no idea what was happening. Even a first-class mage like himself had never seen magic like this. What is this intruder? Did the intruder feel Six's gaze? The shadow suddenly looked at the surveillance device from beneath the hood, and locked eyes with Six for a moment. "I'm coming for you now," was what Six felt the intruder was saying. The intense bloodlust was felt even through this projection. Eek. Six shrunk back without thinking, as static filled the image before it was cut. What was that thing? Was it human? This person moved at lightning speed, took a direct hit of a ritual spell and came out unharmed, and continuously used powerful magic Six had never seen. The unconquerable base was very quickly being taken over by one person. Hero. This word suddenly popped up in the back of Six's brain. Surely this shadow was the rumored hero seen during the monster stampede. But why would a hero be attacking a place like this? How did this person even locate it? It was all a mystery. Damn it, right when Mr. Cradle isn't here. Right when I was left in charge of this place. Six yelled with irritation. If it was known that he allowed someone to invade despite the very strong defensive system, he would no doubt lose his position. Did this person cross paths with Fuse's group? The trio that was sent to Almana to take down that hero. Did the intruder find out about this base after fighting those three? No, the timing didn't match. There was no way someone could fight three first-class mages and leave without a scratch anyway. Fuse could do some rash things, but he was powerful even among first-class mages. And with the skillful support of the other two, even a hero would have trouble fighting them. Our precious fighting power is scattered. There was no time to call them back now. They would have to deal with this strange opponent with what they had. What should I do? Delay our plans and attack with everyone? Six mumbled with clenched teeth. No, I'll be enough to deal with this hero, said a veteran first-class mage. His face was completely covered with a hood and a mask, but a first-class mage could tell who it was via the nature of the magic energy alone. Reigns, a man known as the Puppet Mage, who excelled at enslavement magic. And behind him, was a line of chimera chained together. Guarding the dungeon is my job anyway. Carry on with the project. Are you sure you want to go alone? It could be the one who hunted the ancestral dragon. Calm yourself, Six. This hero is only human. What? I don't know what kind of tricks are being used, but one person is successfully taking over this base. You're not yourself because you're struggling to understand the meaning of it all, right? I see. Six started doing calculations very quickly in his mind. Judging by that speed, this hero was using physical strengthening of a level higher than Six this whole time. He also used defensive magic powerful enough to withstand a ritual spell, and used a weird spell on all the mages. Using such great magic one after the other meant using a lot of magic energy, and assuming this hero had the capacity of a human. It should be running out soon. It took less than a second for Six to reach this conclusion, proof that his talent for arithmetic was exceptional. Yes, I imagine this hero probably couldn't have broken through this base's defenses without using powerful spells, and neglecting to consider the consequences. Although a hero, this person is an amateur when it comes to this sort of calculation. No matter how mysterious he seemed, he was still just a human, and there was a limit to what humans could do. This hero probably started thinking of himself as the strongest being in the world after hunting the ancestral dragon, and this hubris led to going too deep into the enemy's base, too deep to be able to escape. I'm sorry, I let panic take over me. Six's carefree smile returned. He operated the control panel again, cut the alarm, and shut down communications. And it won't be a problem no matter how many low-level mages are killed, as long as he doesn't make it into the test site. You have finally opened your eyes, Six. The magic barrier and magic lock on the door to the testing site were top of the line. It was possible to get through the door to the dungeon itself by threatening one of the guards, but this door was on another level in terms of how secure it was. It was impossible to break through using current magic theory. In short, even a hero wouldn't get in. It's actually a good opportunity to take down this hero at his weakest. Or rather, if I, the puppet mage, use my enslavement magic. Maybe I could make this hero my own slave. Yes, Rains, of course. Wonderful idea. 6 grinned. He allowed the dungeon to be invaded. But surely Mr. Cradle will commend him on the great achievement that would be capturing the hero. In that case, I'll leave this to you, Rains. 6 operated the control panel, and teleportation magic circles appeared in the empty cultivation tanks around them. This was the transfer feature that was already in this dungeon. These cultivation tanks were normally used to position monsters within the dungeon, but 6 and the others had been using this transfer feature for many different purposes, sending the ancestral dragon and the monster stampede to the surface being one of them. Even though this was a low-level dungeon, they could use this sort of lost technology, and they couldn't allow savages who didn't understand its importance to get close to this test site. Well then, I'm sending you. Yes, I will be right back. Rains and monsters under his control entered empty tanks, and disappeared after being enveloped in light. 6 then took out a syringe from his pocket, and turned around. Well then, let's focus on the project. 6's eyes were pointed towards the lined-up Demon King prospects, and one sleeping girl in particular. Everything is going well. They were making progress with the Demon King prospects, and Mr. Cradle was particularly interested in one vessel, and the one thing that worried them, that hero who defeated the ancestral dragon, was about to fall into their hands. 6 felt he was one step closer to securing a seat within the 12 sages. Foo fa foo, phew ha 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 ha. 6 let out a loud, triumphant laugh. Little did he know the footsteps that signaled his destruction were drawing near. Join my Patreon to support me. Chapter 27, Intercepting the Intruder. This chapter is told from the enemy's point of view. In the deepest part of the Almoner dungeon, there was a door, and standing in front of it was Rains, a first-class mage, ready to intercept the hero. He was called Puppet Mage due to his skill with enslavement magic, and his weapons were the 12 Chimera lines up with him. Just in time to test the works given to me by Mr. Cradle. Rain's cheeks rose as he grinned at the majesty of the Chimera. But these were not just simple Chimera. They were the strongest life forms, created by the 4th seat of the 12 sages, the Sage of Life. Cradle D star, lion, dragon, tiger, bird, bat, snake. Their bodies were a collection of the strengths of all sorts of monsters, excellent physical abilities, sharp senses, skin as strong as steel, wings to soar through the sky, deadly poison in fangs and claws, red-hot flame breath, eyes that paralyzed others with their gaze, rapid regeneration. A party of higher-ranking adventurers would barely be able to defeat just one. Marvelous, perfect life forms. A hero felt very unimportant as Rains looked at the power of these Chimera. Rains had a grudge against this hero too. The monsters that stampeded the previous day were all cultivated and enslaved by him. He felt humiliated when he saw them destroyed in a second, and taken by adventurers as mere monster materials. Revenge played a part in his desire to defeat this hero. Kukaku, damned hero, I will take you apart, and rebuild you as a loyal slave of mine. Rains chuckled, and prepared to fight said hero, who he thought would be a lot weaker after getting this far, and had no hope of winning. Still, he was not careless. Many rings of magic energy appeared all over his body, a symbol of control. These rings were a perfect shape for his magic energy. 6 boost, physical strengthening 6, 6 sense, 5 sense strengthening 6, 6 hide, concealment strengthening 6, 6 recovery, healing magic strengthening 6, 6 link, thought sharing 6, 6 barrier, magic barrier 6. Many level 6 spells appeared from Rain's staff, as he strengthened himself and his Chimera, and set up a light wall of magic. This was already the power of a fortress with an army. But lastly, 6 slave, forced servitude 6. He prepared a ritual to enslave the approaching hero, and left it on standby. Normally, even skilled mages would quickly run out of magic energy if they left such a spell completed and on standby. This was a fighting style only possible for someone like Rains, whose capacity for holding magic energy was among the best in all mankind. Now everything is ready for my victory. Rains was very intelligent, and simulated in his head various different ways his battle with the hero could go. No matter how he looked at it, it always ended the same way, with his victory. Even a so-called hero is nothing much. If this was a fair duel, the result might have been different. But in a real, no-holds-barred battle, the result was decided before it even began. Now he only thought about crushing his opponent. "Now, come at me any way you like, hero." Reigns chuckled. A hero showed up to this place, but in the end, a second would be all it would take to. He heard crackling, and all of a sudden a pale blue flash of lightning ripped apart the air right in front of his eyes. But it wasn't lightning. Before he knew it, a hooded boy stood in front of him. He ignored the chimera completely and suddenly appeared right in front of Reigns. Hero? Reigns was taken aback, but then leapt into action. "See chimera." He telepathically sent instructions to the chimera, but there was no response. He thought for a moment that his link magic was not working, but that wasn't it. Wow! The giant bodies of the chimera began to grow increasingly emaciated, before crumbling away behind the boy. All that was left were piles of rotten meat. Mr. Cradle's strongest chimera? They were destroyed in a second. That was when Reigns finally realized. The boy didn't ignore the chimera, their battle was simply over already. Strange. Isn't this strange? The hero should have run out of magic energy by this point. There was no way Reigns' calculations were wrong. There was no way he could still have enough for such strong spells. Anyway, I have to counter. Reigns thought quickly, in less than a second before moving. He already had an enslavement technique ready to use. That combined with the magic's barrier meant he should be able to act first. It was with this thought in his mind that Reigns tried to activate his technique. It was gone. The magic circle that should be active around them was completely gone. Reigns couldn't understand what happened. It was all too fast for him to process. And then, the boy thrust his hand against the magic barrier. Reigns' shoulders trembled. Calm down. That's right, I still have the magic barrier. That was the whole reason why the hero didn't go after Reigns right away. It's a level 6 magic barrier, it can't be broken so easily. This barrier should protect him against all sorts of magic and physical attacks. Only high-powered spells fired continuously could hope to break it. No matter how fast this hero was, no matter how much strange magic he used, as long as he can't break through this barrier, I can still win. But this thought didn't last long. Time. Advance. The boy chanted quietly enough that Reigns couldn't hear, and immediately after, Reigns' magic energy was sucked into the magic barrier at an incredible speed. All of a sudden, the amount of magic energy he was using to maintain the barrier skyrocketed. What is happening? He felt exhausted, like he had been using magic for a very long time. Cracks started appearing on the magic barrier. Is it going to disappear? No. But without the magic barrier, he couldn't deal with the hero's strange magic. His next move wasn't ready yet either, so without the magic barrier, he would be frozen just like all the other mages. But as he thought about what to do for just a second, Reigns' immense magic energy was being sucked dry. With a sound of glass shattering, the magic barrier was smashed into pieces. Reigns felt dizzy, as he suffered from magic energy deficiency for the first time in a long time, and dropped to his knees. 5 seconds. Only 5 seconds. Only 5 seconds passed since the boy appeared, and in this very short amount of time, all of his spells had been broken and he had been rendered completely powerless. He lost his magic energy and his enslaved monsters, and had no way to fight anymore. Reigns never expected this result. Strange. Isn't this strange? Reigns yelled like a petulant child. You shouldn't have any magic energy left. My calculations couldn't have been wrong. You should have no magic energy, he yelled while glaring at the boy. The boy silently looked down at him beneath the hood. Their eyes probably only met for a moment, but the boy's cold stare pierced through Reigns and left him speechless. Gather, the boy whispered. Reigns' magic energy that had been released all around them gathered in the palm of the boy's hand. The immense magic energy was being released from the boy's body in the form of lightning, along with bloodlust. I see. He takes magic energy externally and Reigns was surprised. According to current magic theory, it was impossible to utilize magic energy from outside of one's body. But if such a thing was possible, It would explain why the hero never ran out of magic energy. Still, understanding this just deepened his despair. Calculate. How do I get out of? Rain simulated in his head even more different ways his battle with the hero could go. No matter how he looked at it, it always ended the same way, with his defeat. No. Did I make a mistake? Was it assuming this monster was human? Was it trying to measure this monster using current magic theory? He didn't understand, but he knew they shouldn't have made an enemy out of this monster. That much he knew. The golden eyes of the boy floating in the darkness began to shine with a pattern that resembled a clock. A technique he had never seen before was being formulated right before his very eyes. Rains didn't feel fear anymore, but one thought kept coming and going. This space is finished. It was the last thought that went through Rain's mind before he lost consciousness. Join my Patreon to support me. Chapter 28, A Promise from Younger Days. This chapter is told from Labrie's point of view. Sniff. I'm sorry, Big Brother Crom. Labrie's cried while sitting on the ground. In front of her stood a boy, who frantically tried to get her to stop. This was something Labrie's remembered from when she was a child, a dream from when she got lost in the woods and was attacked by a monster. Labrie's had been praised as a prodigy with the sword from a very young age, but when a monster appeared in front of her, all she could do was tremble before it. And the person who came to her rescue was none other than the weak Crom. Labrie's, it's all right. I'm here. He was weaker than anyone, and more scared than anyone, but he had the same kind smile on his face he always had. He stood against the monster with no hope of winning, just to protect Labrie's. I'm sorry. He lost a lot of blood. When it looked like he could die, it was scarier than the monster. In the end, although his body was left covered with wounds, he managed to drive away the monster. But Labrie's was still crying. Labrie's, the monster's gone. See, I'm fine. Stop crying. Sniff. Big Brother Crom. Dying. What do I do? The boy looked at Labrie's, but could do nothing but panic. I know. He placed his hand on her head. Mr. Sirius does this a lot when I cry. He pat her head. It felt nice and warm, and for some reason his hand made her feel calmer. I'm sorry. I worried you because I'm so weak. It was scarier. If I was stronger, then you wouldn't have to cry like this. No, I'm weak, is what Labrie's wanted to say, but it got muffled by her sobbing. I don't think I can stay with you forever because I'm so weak. I'll probably be too weak to even protect people anyway. But still, I promise. Promise? Yes. The boy nodded and raised his little finger. When you cry, I'll be there to save you, and one day I'll be so strong that you don't even have to cry. The boy smiled, with his ragged, wounded face. So, smile, Labrie's. Labrie's put her little finger around the boy's. Surely he didn't remember this promise anymore, but to Labrie's, it was still something she held close to her heart. It was then that Labrie's woke up. Her mind felt very hazy. She felt chilly, and there was a damp, chemical smell in the air. She tried to move, but found her wrists were bound above her head. That's right. I was kidnapped. She remembered the attack of the first-class mages, but had no idea how much time passed since then. She figured they hadn't done anything to her yet, since there weren't really any wounds on her body. But since they took away her sword, which she also used to cast spells, she couldn't really use magic. What are they after? She squinted and looked around. It was dark, but her eyes were getting used to it. This is the stone walls without windows, the chemical smell, the bubbling sounds. She reached the conclusion that she was probably in some sort of underground laboratory of the Sorcerer Association. She wondered if she was actually inside a dungeon, since this underground place was so spacious. But what really caught her eye in this room were the many pale blue lights. No. What is this? She almost yelled, but managed to hold it back. It was something she definitely was not supposed to see. Are all these cultivation tanks? The lights were coming from the lines of cylindrical cultivation tanks. She couldn't tell how many there were, but she could tell there were probably hundreds or thousands. In these tanks was luminous pale blue cultivation fluid. And as for what was being cultivated, monsters. They seemed to be infant monsters, curled like embryos. The tubes coming out of these cultivation tanks extended to a giant magic stone in the middle of the room, that appeared to be almost like a heart. That magic stone was most likely the nucleus of this dungeon. The energy source of the dungeon, which absorbed magic energy from magic veins underground. Are they using this dungeon's magic energy to make monsters? That kind of research was very clearly taboo. What would happen if all these monsters were released? Stampede. That word crossed Labrie's mind. Wait. Was yesterday's stampede. That was when she heard multiple footsteps coming from between the cultivation tanks. It was the same group of first-class mages that attacked her. They wore the same robes, hid their faces with the same masks, and held the same staves. But there were fewer of them this time, and she didn't see the crest of the 12 sages. As long as they were around, escape would be impossible. Now, vessels. It was with these words that Labries noticed some people to her right. They appeared to also be people from the Sorcerer Association. They wore the same robes as the first-class mages and masks, and were lined in a row. But unlike Labries, they weren't restrained. It was as though they were there voluntarily. Rejoice, for you are very fortunate. You may be able to become the second Demon King. One of the first-class mages stepped forward and spoke pretentiously. Surely you all know, a Demon King appears once every few centuries, and is a calamity that becomes a turning point in history. Our plan is to create man-made Demon Kings, and to carry on with our Demon King transformation project, we use. The mage shook a syringe in his hand. These Demon King cells. Rolling inside this syringe was a pale blue liquid, like the one in the cultivation tanks. It was like a tiny cultivation tank. A chill ran down Labrie's spine as she imagined what it could be used for. In this syringe, we have Demon King cells taken from the fossilized original Demon King, ancestral dragon Vibras. The ancestral dragon had a special function as Demon King, level up. Basically, a being that takes in these cells evolves, and the ones compatible with them have the potential to even become Demon Kings. Labries could hear the ecstatic breathing coming from the people lined up next to her. What's with these people? It was like she wandered into a meeting of an evil cult. She couldn't understand, and it was all very off-putting. Eliminate inferior beings who cannot use magic well, and let the world be ruled by evolved humans and Demon Kings. That is our ideal new world. Well then everyone, shall we begin the evolution of this world? Said the mage, before injecting the mage furthest to the right on the neck. This person suddenly burst. Blood flew everywhere, and stained the walls. The reaction was delayed, but a second later, the robe and mask the mage was wearing fell to the ground. It seems this one was not compatible. Next, a person died. That person burst, but no one there seemed to care. The first-class mages, the people lined up. Everyone sounded ecstatic. What is going on? The next person in line was injected, and a moist-sounding explosion echoed throughout the room. Next, another person was injected, and another person exploded. Next, another person was injected, and another person burst. Next, another person was injected, and another person burst. Next, the syringe kept getting closer and closer to Labries. 7 more people. 6, 5. No. She felt she was losing her mind. The smell of blood made her gag, and she felt gastric juices in her throat. At this rate, I'm going to be killed. But even if she tried to escape, it was not like the restraints binding her arms were simple restraints. They were very secure due to magic. Labries had no way of undoing them, since she could barely even use magic in this state. But still, if she didn't run, she would be killed. No. Labries struggled and struggled, but then. Next, the voice came from right in front of her. She fearfully looked up, and saw. The syringe was in front of her. There was no one left to the right, save for robes and pools of blood covering the floor. This is the last one? It's hard to find good vessels, but this one caught Mr. Cradle's eye. I wanted a pawn from the association to become Demon King, but I guess it can't be helped. The mages whispered as they crept towards Labries. No. Stop, Labries said with a shaking voice. Why are you making that face? You act as though we are some sort of evil secret organization, said a mage while chuckling. Rejoice. This is a happy moment for you. Labries couldn't see the mage's face through the mask, but that didn't sound like a joke. This mage clearly believed every word. Hey, Stop struggling. I can't inject you well like this. Someone help. No one will. He's dead already. Labrys didn't understand exactly what that meant, but felt it sounded ominous, and somehow knew she didn't want to hear any more. Still, the mage continued, as though purposefully deepening her despair. The rumored hero came to this place alone. I hear he did well considering he was alone. But he was still only human. Sadly, he was no match for us. Hero. She figured they were probably talking about that boy that looked like Chrom. If that person chose to attack the mage's base right at this time, that surely meant. Was it to save me? Only one person would do that. When you cry, I'll be there to save you. He was weaker than anyone, but kinder than anyone. He always came to her rescue when she cried. And now, he was dead. You're lying. Every bit of strength Labrys still had left her body. The mage holding the syringe saw this as an opportunity to strike. The needle stabbed Labrys' white nape, but she didn't have the strength to resist. Become a Demon King, or die. Those are the two reactions to Demon King cells. What will it be? Aren't you excited? No. Demon King, the name of a calamity that would go down in history. If she didn't become one, she would die, and she was shown more than enough proof of this fact. But if she did become a Demon King, the people she loved, the town she loved, it all raced through Labrys' mind. All of that would be destroyed, and she hated that even more. Rejoice. I'm sure you can become the second Demon King. The mage put his finger on the plunger, to slowly inject the Demon King cells. Help. Labrys mumbled to no one. That day, when she was too weak to do anything besides sobbing, she decided she would be strong. She wanted to be strong enough to never cry again, and never need to be saved again. If she cried, he would come to her rescue. And he would fight, and get hurt a lot. She didn't want that, but couldn't stop it anymore. Help me. Big Brother Chrom. A tear fell from Labrys' eye, and when that transparent tear hit the floor, the mages were all blown away, as if there was an explosion. They slammed into cultivation tanks, and limply fell to the ground. It all happened in a second. It was so fast, that she couldn't tell what was going on. But before she knew it, a boy stood in front of her. He took the hood covering his face off his head. Although his back was turned, there was no mistaking who he was. Labrys. The boy turned round, and his kind smile was like a ray of sunshine. It's all right. I'm here. Chapter 29. Chrom's power. This chapter is told from Labrys' point of view. It's all right. I'm here. Labrys, who was attacked by first-class mages, suddenly saw a boy standing in front of her. She knew very well who he was. See Chrom, Labrys whispered, seemingly taken aback. Chrom, who she thought was dead, was standing in front of her. He smiled at her to try to reassure her. His smile was as kind as it was when they were younger, but seemed more reliable. For some reason, she couldn't look away. Sorry I'm late. You were scared, weren't you? Chrom knelt in front of Labrys, and touched the restraints on her wrists. Somehow, that was enough to undo the magic restraints that didn't budge at all before. Labrys couldn't understand how Chrom could do that. How did he even get there? She was happy that Chrom came to her rescue, but, I didn't want you to come. Tears started streaming down Labrys' face. Even though she decided long ago she wouldn't cry in front of him ever again. She ended up crying again because she was weak, and had to wish for Chrom to save her again. This time, Chrom could have really died. This thought threw her heart into disarray. She knew she shouldn't cry, but couldn't stop. I didn't want you to fight. I didn't want you to get hurt. You shouldn't have come to save me. Why did you come? She didn't think of herself as some adorable princess that people would want to protect. And she said some pretty bad things too. Chrom got hurt a lot because of her, and yet, well, because you were crying. Chrom placed his hand on Labrys' head. It felt as warm and nice as when they were younger. I promised you, didn't I? When you cried, I'd come to save you. Do you remember? Yes, it's an important promise for me. No matter how much time passes, I'll always honor it. It was a promise they made when they were younger, and their relationship changed a lot since then. But it was just like Chrom to risk his life for the sake of a promise like that. Let's go home, Labrys. Everyone's waiting. Chrom reached out to Labrys, who rubbed her eyes. Yes. She seemed a little bashful, but reached out to grab Crumb's hand. Do you people really think you can get away? Behind Crumb, first-class mages staggeringly stood up. They are still moving. Although they were covered by the robes, it was clear that the first-class mages' bodies were bent in unnatural ways. The attack from earlier broke bones all over their bodies, but still, they moved them by using magic, looking like puppets on strings. With unnatural-looking movements, they encircled Crumb and held up their staves. Foo, foo fa foo. I don't know how you managed to get here, but it seems your magic energy is depleted. You will meet your end here. Yes, they could not sense any magic energy in Crumb's body. The first-class mages on the other hand were releasing an immense amount of magic energy. They were 5 in total, and they were all among the most powerful in the continent. But Crumb didn't budge. That's my line. Crumb silently got up, and turned his back to Labrys, facing the first-class mages. Do you really think you can get away after making my childhood friend cry? Suddenly, it was like the gravity around them increased. Is Crumb mad? Labrys had never seen Crumb like this. No matter how much he got hurt, he had never been mad like that. The intense bloodlust around him showed how angry he was for her. The first-class mages should clearly have the advantage, but they were pressured into stepping back. It really was you, wasn't it? You took down the ancestral dragon. Our ancestral dragon? Crumb smiled daringly. That thing was weaker than I thought. The mages were silent. Why you monster? Mumbled one of them with a trembling voice. The first-class mages that were strong to the point of despair were scared of Crumb, who stood against them alone. 6. What do we do? Someone hold him back while we retreat with the dungeon's transfer feature. Don't falter. He doesn't have magic energy left. Attack him all at once. The one they called 6, who was apparently the leader, raised his staff above his head. The rest all followed. 6 icicle magic circles filled the air with their shine. Multiple level 6 spells. Each mage formulated several level 6 magic circles. Not only that, but their speed was incredible. Many icicles appeared in the air, and it was clear by the magic energy infused in them that each had enough power to kill. It would only take a scratch from one of them to freeze a person's entire body. This was the real power of first-class mages. See Crumb. Labrys grabbed Crumb's clothes without thinking. It's all right Labrys. Leave everything to me, said Crumb as the icicles were launched. They ripped through the air and descended upon them like a rain of arrows. Crumb didn't dodge, or even defended himself. He just pointed the palm of his hand towards the rain of icicles. Stop. That was all Crumb said, and the rain of icicles stopped in midair. Was all Labrys could say as she saw the unrealistic sight in front of her. She didn't understand what happened. It was like time itself stopped. It ignored all the rules of this world. Even the first-class mages were at a loss for words, and stood in place silently. What is this power? Crumb said nothing in response. He simply walked slowly through the rain of icicles. It was silent, like even sound stopped. Only Crumb's footsteps echoed. What are you? How can you use magic like that? 6 stepped back as Crumb stepped forward. Eventually, his back hit one of the cultivation tanks, and his voice trembled as he felt cornered. Damn you. If it wasn't for you, our plan would have been a success. Yes, that's right. What? If it wasn't for me, your plans to create Demon Kings would have been a success. The ancestral dragon would have gone on rampaging, and you would have created Demon Kings one after the other. There wouldn't be anyone in this time who could stop you. Everything would have gone as you planned, and a future of ruin would have begun. But Crumb drew his sword, and the stopped icicles began to move again at the same time. There were suddenly flashes of lightning, and all the icicles shattered. Their shining pieces rained down on the ground as Crumb pointed his sword at the mages. I'm ending that future right here. Join my Patreon to support me. Chapter 30, The Second Demon King. This chapter is told from Labrys' point of view. I'm ending that future right here. After slashing the icicles, Crumb pointed his sword at the mages. 6 glared at him, as he was cornered against one of the cultivation tanks. Damn you, how much do you know? Dunno. Answer me, or else. The mages threatened Crom by pointing their staves at him. Or else what? The staves held by the mages crumbled. Most mages frantically screeched. None of them understood what was being done to them, and nothing was scarier than what they didn't understand. Wow, Labrys whispered. It was a one-sided battle against extremely powerful opponents like the first-class mages. No, it wasn't even a battle. She knew Crom had gotten stronger, but this was simply too abnormal. How is Crom this strong? How was he even so used to fighting, when he was so weak just 2 days before? How did he know the plans of the Sorcerer Association? She didn't understand. She didn't understand anything. It's not over yet, cried out Six while taking something out of his pocket. Teethats. Labrys was taken aback as she saw the syringe filled with Demon King cells. Crom. Labrys tried to warn Crom, but Six was faster. With a light smile on his face, he pointed the syringe to his own neck. I figured it was about time you try that. That's the only move you people have left. Six suddenly noticed the syringe was gone. He looked at Crom, and saw him twirling it in his hand. So, where's the rest of the Demon King cells? Can you bring it all out? Crom also looked at the mages behind him. What are you planning to do with them if we tell you? Destroy everything so no more Demon Kings are born, of course. Foo. I see, so that's your goal. Crom's sword was still pointed at Six, who realized he couldn't put up a fight any longer. All right, I'll bring them. He raised his hands and hung his head, seemingly surrendering. But then, a menacing smile formed on his face. Then, take as much as you want. Crom jumped back, and as Six spread his arms wide and yelled, "Awaken, monsters!" The monsters in the cultivation tanks all opened their eyes at the same time. The glass on the tanks began to crack, until the monsters broke through, sending glass and cultivation fluid flying everywhere. Bahahahaha! Here are the Demon King cells you wanted. Don't be shy, take as much as you want. For some reason, only the cultivation tanks around Labrys didn't break. Are you all right, Labrys? Crom. Before Labrys knew it, Crom was standing right in front of her. Did you get splashed by that cultivation fluid? See cultivation fluid? I don't think so. That's good. Crom looked very relieved. Is that fluid Demon King cells? It is. Labrys remembered the syringe from earlier. When people were injected by those Demon King cells, they burst. So what would have happened if that cultivation fluid did splash on her? See Crom. Labrys, sounding anxious, grabbed Crom's clothes again. Crom responded by smiling to reassure her. It's all right, Labrys. The plans may have changed, but I intended to fight that thing anyway. It just saves time. That thing? What do you mean, Crom? What do you know? Crom silently and slowly shook his head. In any case, you'll be safe if you stay here. Listen carefully, no matter what. Don't release magic energy. Magic energy? Why yes. She didn't understand. But at least Crom's expression didn't look pessimistic. It looked like he had some sort of strategy in mind, and he stared at the cultivation fluid like he was waiting for something. But the fluid wasn't the only problem. The monsters that crawled out of the cultivation tanks approached Crom and Labrys. They appeared to be warped chimera created with strong parts of various monsters. They weren't fully mature yet, but the magic energy they were carrying in those bodies was already beyond the norm. And there were hundreds of these monsters. Stampede. It was the only way to describe the sight in front of them. If those monsters got outside, Almana would be destroyed for sure. But it wouldn't stop there. The whole kingdom of Historia could fall into ruin. It was a desperate situation, but it didn't end there. Now, evolve. The mages pierced their necks with syringes and burst. Only Six retained his form. I am the only suitable vessel, but that's fine. It was a success. Six's entire body began to change and grow rapidly. With cries of anguish one wouldn't think came from a human being, his blood vessels expanded, and his robe and mask were ripped apart as horns and wings grew. Yoga, Gagoo. And finally, with those roars, what appeared was a monster many times bigger than a person. Its horns looked like some sort of twisted crown, and its black wings looked sinister, like those of a demon. It truly looked like a demon king. The demon king let out a shrill laugh while breathing erratically. Fa-ha-ha-ha-ha, I reached it, I reached it, I reached it. It's me, I am the second Demon King. From this demon-like body, an intense pressure was released in the form of magic energy. Labrys couldn't take it, and fell to her knees. She had never seen such powerful magic energy. It was unbelievable. It very clearly surpassed the amount of magic energy a human could hold. Wonderful. Don't you find this wonderful? You may rejoice as well. You witnessed the birth of the second Demon King. Releasing magic energy was all it took to distort the scenery around them, and to crack and break the floor. This is a Demon King? It already boasted a hopelessly large amount of power when it was a first-class mage, but now, it was incomparable to when it was human. This was a disaster. It was not something humans could simply deal with. Every few centuries, a calamity called Demon King shook the world, and such a thing was just born right in front of Labrys and Chrom. Labrys' face was increasingly painted with despair. But no. Chrom shook his head. That's not the Demon King. That small fry doesn't matter. The problem isn't that former mage, or those chimera for that matter. What do you? It was then that Labrys noticed Chrom wasn't looking at that demon, or the chimera around them. His gaze was fixated on the pale blue cultivation fluid on the floor. Phew, ha 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 ha. You have a special seat for my presentation. The second act of this calamity is about to begin. The demon laughed loudly and with a shrill voice. And then, hundreds of chimera were swallowed by the cultivation fluid. Fajagaga. Ha, ha. It all happened in front of the dumbfounded demon. It sounded as though the cultivation fluid was chewing. As it melted the chimera, it was as though the cultivation fluid had a mind of its own, like it was alive. What is that cultivation fluid? Alive? After it was done eating the chimera, the cultivation fluid zigzagged as it crept on the floor like slime, and rushed towards the demon. What do you want? I am a Demon King. All monsters obey me. Oh, obey me. Why won't you obey me? Cultivation fluid. Like this. The demon shot magic bullets and scattered the cultivation fluid, but it was just too much. In fact, it seemed the more magic energy the demon released, the more the fluid crept around its giant body. Yes, it really will get eaten. Labrys mumbled. But then she remembered what Chrom told her. Don't release magic energy. She finally understood what he meant. This cultivation fluid reacted to magic energy and moved towards it. Stop. Stop it. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. No. Stop. No. No, 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 no. I don't want to die. Someone help, help, help. Rains. The demon's voice suddenly stopped, as its giant body was buried beneath the cultivation fluid. All that was left was the uncontrollable cultivation fluid. It all gradually combined into a pile that looked like a giant slime. What is that? The demon was strong, but that was still somewhat understandable. This cultivation fluid, on the other hand, was beyond comprehension. It devoured that immensely powerful demon in a second. What was the limit of its power? Did it even have one? That's a Demon King. Chrom finally answered quietly. Those mages never expected the cultivation fluid itself to be a Demon King. That's why they didn't keep it in check. I noticed it too late too. And then Chrom declared, the second Demon King had already been born. Join my Patreon to support me. Chapter 31. Transfer feature. The second Demon King, Ultimate Life Form Ultimate. I know the Demon King that appeared in front of me from records I saw in the future. Nation-devouring slime, crawling ocean, gluttonous Demon King. It had many names, and none of them were an exaggeration. The first time around, this Demon King ate some countries, was incredibly massive, and kept expanding. This Demon King's power is universal synthesis. It melts whatever it touches, consumes it, and takes in its power, matter, spirits, magic energy, spells, knowledge, techniques. Just by touching, this Demon King melts, eats, takes away. This led to Demon King Ultimate being known as history's worst Demon King. I didn't expect it to be born already. I see the large slime eating the former mages. Every time it twists itself, it carves walls and the ceiling of the dungeon, sending rubble downwards. But the Ultimate I know isn't this small. It wasn't created in accordance with the mage's plans. Judging by how it was the first time, It should have appeared a week from now, but because of my meddling in history, it was released when it's still in its infancy. I know how to beat it. Of course, I thought of a countermeasure before coming here, and prepared a trump card to defeat the Demon King Ultimate. But right now, I can't win. There's someone behind me I have to protect, and I need to prioritize getting Labrys to safety. Labrys, let's get out of here while it's eating them. Why yes. In the future, I checked documents about Ultimate. After it was born, it was a primitive being that was drawn to strong magic energy. The former mages and the dungeon's nucleus. The two large magic energy reactions in this place. They should buy us some time. Chrom. Don't worry, I'll cover you. She looks at me with her eyes shaking with uncertainty, so I grab her hand and run. I can't use magic, or I'll draw the attention of Ultimate. I use my sword to cut slime that attacks us, and throw magic stones as bait. See Chrom, we're running away, right? That's not where the exit. No, this way's fine. I'm heading towards the dungeon's control panel. I jump at the control panel sitting on a table, and quickly operate it with my fingers. Complex magic writing appears on the light screen projected in the air. All right. There's still magic energy. Having that said, the dungeon's nucleus, its source of power, is beginning to be eaten by Ultimate. I don't have a lot of time left. Do you know how to use that? Yes, I've handled it a few times. I was at the top of the Sorcerer Association the first time around, so there's nothing those mages can do that I can't, even if the mode of operation and features vary depending on the dungeon. Every dungeon should have a transfer feature to position monsters. The dungeon is collapsing thanks to Ultimate. If I head to the exit with Labrys, we might end up buried before we make it outside, but with the transfer feature, I can send her out in a second. Here it is. I found the dungeon's transfer feature, but I try to use it right away, but it makes a warning sound and spits out a warning message. It's stuck on authentication because of magic energy wavelength. These mages probably tampered with it. I don't have time to break through security. Damn it. If I knew when it was used to send something outside, I could just rewind the control panel's time to that point. But there's no way for me to conveniently know that. Or is there? I quickly place the palm of my hand on the control panel. Time. Turn back. The control panel's time returns to when it sent something outside. Thankfully, I actually do know that exact time. The goddess calendar, 10th day of the 4th month of the year 1200, 6:36 in the evening. The moment when it all began. When the ancestral dragon and that huge group of monsters were sent outside. And it looks like I was correct. Teleportation magic circles start shining underneath the broken cultivation tanks around me. Labrys, step on one of those magic circles. It will take you outside the dungeon. Really? Yes, trust me. Why yes. Labrys doesn't really understand what's going on, but seems to trust me, so she slips into one of the broken cultivation tanks. I go after her, but stop in front of the cultivation tank. Chrom, hurry. The Demon King will be here soon. I turn around, and see Ultimate really is slowly drawing near. I guess there's no way it's not going to react to the transfer feature and the magic I just used, but Chrom, time. Turn back, I say, and glass fragments scattered on the ground start floating. The transparent fragments dance in the air like flower petals, and form a cylindrical glass container as though they were puzzle pieces. The cultivation tank has been restored to how it was before it was broken, with Labrys inside. Wow, what are you doing, Chrom? Now you can't get. Sorry Labrys, I'm staying. I need to end that Demon King right here. I need to take Ultimate down now, or Labrys, and Almano itself will end up being devoured by it. To defeat this Demon King it has to be fought at its smallest and weakest, right after its spawn. And in this era, only I can do it. Sorry, but we can't leave together. Why you kidding? That's absurd. Why you are not serious? Why you joking? Sorry, this is too much. I don't know how strong you've become, but that thing, it's going to kill you. Labrys starts banging on the glass, but the shine of the teleportation magic circle is intensifying. She's eventually enveloped in light. See Chrom, Come here quickly. No, no. We finally made up. I want to be with you more. Don't leave me alone, Chrom. Big brother Chrom. Tears start pouring from her eyes. You're still such a crybaby. She doesn't get along with people easily, but is actually prone to feeling lonely. She puts on a brave front, but she's actually a kind crybaby. That's why she ended up becoming a demon king the first time. This time, I really will honor my promise. When we were younger, I promised I'd come to her rescue. And yet, the first time around, all I could do was kill her while she cried. I've regretted all this time, over these 100 years, but now, in the past, I'll make it right. Don't worry, Labrys, I've become strong. I place my hand on the glass. I've worked hard, and became strong enough that you don't have to cry anymore. I'll stay with you, and protect everyone from now on. So I smile and try to reassure Labrys just before the light takes her. So smile, Labrys. And then she's gone. Only a few particles of light remain in the cultivation tank. I can't hear her voice anymore. The small hand that she placed above mine through the glass is gone too. It looks like she was successfully sent outside. Well then, I feel something creeping up on me, and turn around. I see the giant slime that consumed the dungeon's nucleus. Every time that giant body moves, the dungeon collapses further. Nation-devouring slime, crawling ocean, gluttonous demon king. A calamity that ate several countries, and had to be sealed away the first time around, because it couldn't be destroyed. I stand before the worst demon king in history, alone. Let's begin. Demon King Ultimate. Chapter 32. Means to victory. Labrys is out of the dungeon, and I'm facing the giant slime alone. Let's begin. Demon King Ultimate. And then, as if responding to me, what looks like the upper half of a person's body is created from the top of the giant slime. It looks like the shape of a girl. Labrys. Hey, do you love us? Hey, will you be with us? Hey, will you play with us? From multiple parts of the slime's body, I hear what sounds like baby voices patched together. I think it attained a degree of humanity after eating humans. Hey, play with us. Be with us. Become us. Let's play. Hey, come on, let's play. Forever. Many human arms grow out of the Demon King Ultimate's body. These arms that will melt everything they touch feel almost like the arms of babies looking for their mothers. Slow, viscous, wet. They stretch over my way to eat me while foaming with a pale blue mucus. Sorry, but I have a place I have to go back to. I grab my sword and unsheath it while unleashing a sword flash. The pale blue arms that were coming after me fall and writhe on the ground, and because of that, I will end you here. I fix the melted sword by rewinding its time, and point it at Ultimate. Oh, strange, weird. Why do you deny? How come? But you're so weak. It's no use, right? Ultimate seems confused, as it looks at the cut arms. The arms regenerate right away. No, they don't just regenerate, there are many times more arms than before. Hey, will you accept us? Don't be scared. Don't feel lonely. Everyone will be us soon. Your family too. Your friends too. Your hometown too. This world too. Everyone will get to be us. The slime arms then come at me like a spear being thrust. Haste 5. I crunch down a magic stone after throwing it in my mouth, and dodge the arms as I accelerate. I hear a loud noise, and both the wall and the control panel behind me are pierced by many arms. Everything that's pierced by them melts. Ha 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 ha. We know. This is called tag, isn't it? Kaya kaya. It's fun. The floor and walls of the dungeon are broken by the pale blue arms. As the walls are melted, the dungeon is starting to collapse increasingly faster. It's raining rubble, and it's all melted in a second as I run at full speed from Ultimate's arms. This really is the worst Demon King. I can't let my guard down just because it talks like a child. This life form will melt and eat everything, and keep expanding without stopping. And it hasn't even reached full maturity. This isn't it at its strongest. If it manages to swallow me, this Demon King will do as it said, and destroy the world with the cruelty and innocence of a child. It will eat the dungeon, Labrys, Almana, and even a few countries. No one can defeat it in this era. It will continue to melt the world until it's finally sealed a few decades from now. That's the original, correct future. The way it should be. But I refuse to accept that future. I stop after taking some distance, and face the Demon King. Ooh, over already? Weak, boring. The Demon King Ultimate laughs loudly like a kid. Yes, as I stand now, I can't beat it. It's just not a good match for me. Ultimate can't be damaged by physical attacks, and it would be hard to advance its time and kill it by making it decay with age, since it doesn't age at all. There is also pretty much no magic energy I can take in, since Ultimate is eating magic energy around it. And if I target it with time magic, it might learn it. The idea of this Demon King using time magic on top of it all is a nightmare. Still, I have to win. I have people and a time to protect, so I have to defeat it no matter what. Demon King Ultimate. The worst Demon King, but not necessarily the strongest. I know that for a fact. I take that from my cloak. The syringe with the Demon King cells I swiped earlier from the mage. I inject them into my own neck without hesitating. I'll show you something stronger. That very moment, my whole body swells like a huge bolt of lightning exploded. No, won't let you. Ultimate sounds concerned for the first time. A wave of slime arms rushes towards me, but it's all scattered by the lightning I'm releasing. Everything around us is painted by the color of the lightning flashes in the blink of an eye, until I manage to get it under control. The power that flowed into my body and almost ripped it apart. I didn't want to know where these Demon King cells were just so I could retrieve them and destroy them. I've broken all sorts of taboo in order to gain power, so there's no way I wouldn't get my hands on this. But originally, I wasn't compatible with these Demon King cells. If this hero's me were to take in these cells, he would have exploded instantly. That's why I spent time on it the first time around. I took in Demon King cells one drop at a time. Even just that much was like a deadly poison for a body that wasn't compatible, like mine. The first 10 years were hell. I was constantly assaulted with pain, like my body was ripping itself apart. I was always vomiting blood and shedding tears of pain. The pain was too intense for me to sleep properly. I slept when I eventually fainted, and had nightmares every time. But even in this state, I insisted on studying time magic and running around battlefields to become stronger, and 10 years later, I managed to control 1 drop of Demon King cells. I upped the dose to 2 drops over the next 10 years, and 10 years later, I went further. I slowly took in Demon King cells, until I was fully able to control them. Before I knew it, my body stopped developing. My hair turned white. My skin had bruises that looked like black cracks, and a pattern that looked like the face of a clock appeared in my eyes. Eventually, I was able to touch time. I completely understood the thing we call time. I had the power I needed to protect everything. But I took too long. At that point, everything I wanted to protect was already gone. I didn't save anything I wanted to save. I had the power to protect people, but they just feared me. I had become just an enemy of mankind, a monster. Those were my 100 years. I didn't become the hero I wanted to be when I was younger, but it was fine. Position, renown, wealth, none of that mattered. If I can just save the people that are important to me, I'll turn into whatever monster I have to. Now let's introduce ourselves. My name is the Third Demon King, Space-Time King Cronegate. That's most certainly not the name of the hero. It's the name of the most feared calamity in the future. Chapter 33, A New Demon King. It sounds like the Demon King Ultimate can't believe what it's seeing. It definitely sent countless slime arms towards the boy injecting himself with Demon King cells. They easily grabbed a hold of him, and turned his small body into a blood splatter. The Demon King transformation didn't happen in time, or at least that was what supposedly happened. And yet, with a sound similar to that of the hand of a clock moving, the shower of falling rubble stopped in midair. All of a sudden, the boy who should be dead was standing on top of the rubble. It's like he wasn't actually killed at all. It's like the flow of time became all messed up. He didn't just come back to life. He seems different. His hair is white. His golden eyes have the face of a clock on them, and he has 12 transparent swords behind him. like hands of a clock. And his irregular magic energy is like a demon king. Ultimelt realized right away a being similar to itself had just been born. But ha 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 ha, incredible. Now, with that power, will you play? It never expected him to be compatible with Demon King cells. But there is no mistaking that magic energy in his body. Still, even if he became a Demon King, Ultimelt is on a whole other level. Although Ultimelt is still immature, it already ate hundreds of monsters and the nucleus of this dungeon. The Demon King Ultimelt is impossible to kill, with its many unbeatable powers. Thank you. I'm happy you're giving us that power, right? With that power, we can do more, right? Everyone will get to be us. Ultimelt sends many arms towards the boy. Infinite regenerating, shape-shifting slime arms that melt and eat anything. He has nowhere to run in midair. It's over, or at least it should have been. It's no use. I've already seen that future, says the boy while grabbing one of the 12 transparent swords. Chronos space-time control, 12th hand 0. The boy holds the sword above his head, and the sound of a hand of a clock echoes again, coming from somewhere. At the same time, the arms that can melt anything melt. The arms closing in on the boy fall to the ground, like they return to being simple cultivation fluid. No, it didn't feel like anything was done to it, and it wasn't a spell. Ultimelt should be able to melt and eat any spell targeted at it. Is this? Could it be sorcery? The memories of a human it recently ate explained. The law that rules this world. Sorcery. Being able to control this is proof that he reached the level of a Demon King. It doesn't matter what you do. I've already seen the future until you end. The golden eyes with the pattern of the face of a clock began to shine a light similar to moonlight, before the new Demon King declared, "Well then, shall we end this?" It's my time now. Chapter 34, Conclusion. The Third Demon King, Space-Time King Chronogate. That was me. When I was feared in the future as the world's strongest monster. My power as Demon King is Chronos space-time control. The power to conquer this world's law of time. A power to interfere with not just the time of specific things, but the world's absolute time itself. How dare you, us, we'll kill you. Pluck arms and legs. Pull out tongue. Scoop out eyeballs. Slowly melt entire body. Let's play with your screams. Forever. The Demon King Ultimelt yells with a hateful childish voice, after having part of its body taken away. Slime arms then descend from all directions, creating a pale blue cage. There's no way to escape from here, on top of the floating rubble. But it's no use. You've made an enemy out of me. Time. I willingly jump into the raging ocean of slime. The moment my feet touch it, everything's time goes back like a whirlpool. The slime arms, the swallowed monsters, the glass fragments and rubble all over the floor. Things float in the air, and like a puzzle being completed, the test site goes back to the way it was. Nothing in this world can defy me. Time. Even if you are indestructible, everything has a beginning. Inside the restored cultivation tanks behind me, monsters visibly shrink, before disappearing one after the other. Eventually, they all turn into light particles and vanish. No, don't take us. With every step I take, Ultimelt disintegrates and vanishes. I walk towards the core of this Demon King. The slime body in the center in the shape of a girl. The Demon King's voice sounds increasingly less confident. We are not done yet. Dream, hope, love, kindness, family, friends, future. None of them are us. Everyone, everything will be us, screams Ultimelt. It's like a baby looking for its mother. Like a baby cursed at birth. The slime starts foaming, takes the form of hundreds of monsters, and attacks. Flames, venom, sharp fangs, large claws, piercing howls, wind blades, icicles, lightning spheres. But everything turns to dust before it hits me. None of its attacks reach the point in time when they hit me. I have to destroy the future you're trying to bring forth. I walk towards the core of Ultimelt without stopping. I know the future that awaits you. You eat everything you want, and end up crying alone inside a dark hole. No way. Lie. Unbelievable. No matter how much you want to be loved, Everything you touch melts. No matter how many humans you eat, you remain alone. In fact, the more you eat, the more alone you get. The ultimate life form. It expands indefinitely, doesn't age, and doesn't die. But a life that's not imperfect is just a monster. A complete life can never be happy. No matter how lonely or sad it is, this Demon King can't even die. If possible, I wish I could have prevented its birth. Lie. It's a 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 lie. Ultimelt closes its ears and shakes its head. I don't think anything I say at this point is going to matter. This Demon King is a lonely kid that is crying about being alone. Even if it knows there's only destruction ahead, it's going to keep longing for someone, and melting everything it yearns for. So, before it happens, I will at least end you, Demon King Ultimelt. I reach the core of this Demon King, and face the slime in the shape of a girl. End us. How? The slime girl smiles like it's shuddering. We know your magic energy is over. You used all that magic. Right now, you can't kill us. Yes, I don't have the magic energy to use big spells anymore, and the magic energy around us is being eaten by Ultimelt. But no, I do have magic energy. I'm not drawing from just the magic energy that's here right now. I hold the transparent sword in my hand up high. Gather. The magic circuits in my body bend in strange directions. My eyes can see what's beyond these twists. It's my magic circuits from other me's beside the one of this time. Past and future me's magic circuits are bent into the fourth dimension, overcoming time and connecting to the present. Through magic circuits of various times, magic energy from me of various times flows into me. Its quantity is immense. Why? What is this magic energy? Where from? Why? Why? The amount of magic energy is enough to make a Demon King feel pressured. Much like how a person drinks a huge amount of water over the course of their lives, the magic energy they hold over a lifetime is immeasurable. All that magic energy has been drawn through time, and is the reason why future me was the strongest. But this is also why past me couldn't use magic. I know that now, but it's necessary. Past me was abandoned because he couldn't use magic, was ostracized, and cried in the dark while cursing the world around him. But El took him by the hand into the light. He met people that would become important to him, learned kindness and warmth, and lost everything, lived in hell for 100 years, and became the strongest. And it all leads here. Like hands of a clock, endlessly drawing a circle, to end all Demon Kings from here. To save everything from here. Chronos Space-Time Control. 12th hand 0. I call out the name of this sword. It's the first and last hand, the one that ends the beginning. Even something immortal has to have a beginning. With this sword, I roll it back to the source, the beginning. I stab the chest of the slime girl. Ultimelt murmurs with shock. The moment it's stabbed by the sword, many shiny drops rise. The reversal of time has begun. Like a river of tears returning to the sky, the drops of light melt into the air. Pretty. The slime girl reaches out, like it's chasing fireflies with its small hands, and what it catches is a drop that landed on my cheek. Why? How come? Why are you crying? We don't understand. You and us. Are enemies, aren't we? As the Demon King disappears, it tilts its head in confusion. But none of that matters. It doesn't matter if it's an enemy. Even if it's the worst Demon King, even if I have to kill it, even if this Demon King's tears are false. A kid is crying in front of me, so I want it to smile. I'm sorry I couldn't love you. I smile kindly at the Demon King, trying to make it feel at ease in the end. But don't be scared anymore. You're not alone anymore. So I close my eyes, and say, end. With that one word, the slime girl's body turns into particles of light and floats up. The last hand that remains gently catches my tears. Warm. It smiles, and vanishes, leaving one small drop behind, like a tear. This is probably how Ultimelt started. This drop disappears too, like it's melting into the air. That Demon King doesn't have to shed any more tears. The Demon King that was called the worst the first time around is completely gone from this world. The second Demon King has been slain. Chapter 35, The Future I Always Wanted to See. I confirm the extinction of the Demon King ultimate, before falling to my knees in this now empty room in the dungeon. Cracks start appearing on the floor, with me in the center. The Demon King's power is going berserk. I can't hold it back. Power courses through my body like lightning, and I feel my reasoning power and character being swallowed up. Have I hit the time limit? I managed to defeat the Demon King in time, but it's starting to look like I can't maintain my personality. Taking in those Demon King cells all at once really was too much, especially since I don't have the aptitude for them in the first place. Right now, I'm just a calamity. Demon Kings cause tremendous damage around them just by existing. At this rate, I might destroy everything by my own hand, just like future me. And suddenly, my eyes that can see past and future me, see myself going berserk, destroying everything, like a Demon King that became a true calamity. That me crosses the barrier of time to stand in front of me, and reaches out to me, like he's telling me to go that way too. That's one possible future, but I'm not going there. I wave my hand, as if erasing an illusion. Normally, it wouldn't be possible to undo a transformation into a Demon King. A Demon King would stay that way forever. But not me. Time, turn back. That phrase is enough to undo the Demon King transformation. As my body returns to a time before I became a Demon King, my hair turns black again. The cracks on the floor stop, and the sword in my hand crumbles and vanishes. I returned to being human before I lost my reasoning power. Still, I'm really dizzy, covered in cold sweat, and can't get up. My body was actually reaching its limit before I transformed into a Demon King. I used way too much magic, considering I wasn't at my best anyway, and the burden of the Demon King transformation on my magic circuits that crossed through time and is still here. Transforming into a Demon King really isn't something to take lightly. Demon King cells aren't a simple power-up. The risks and costs are too high. There's also a chance that I can't go back to normal, and the immense power that comes with it could destroy things and people around me. Having that said, I still need this power. I haven't ended every Demon King, so I leave the Demon King cells in my body, with their time stopped. Now I can live my normal life as a human, while being able to transform into a Demon King if it's really necessary. That's already a big difference compared to the first time, when I stayed a Demon King. Well then, I look up at the ceiling. The dungeon that was stopped until now is creaking like it's screaming, and rubble is falling. This dungeon is on its last legs. I turned back the time of parts of the dungeon, but stopping it from collapsing would be very hard. I wanted to take it easy for a little longer, but it's time for one last push. I stagger my way to my feet, and face the rain of rubble. The next moment, the entire ceiling collapses, and rubble comes down like a landslide. The exit is already destroyed, and the control panel doesn't work. So if I'm going to get out of here, I'm going to have to go up. I muster up my last strength, and point the palm of my hand upwards. Time, stop. The rubble stops in midair. Since everything didn't stop at the same time, it created a spiral staircase in the air, which leads up. It looks like everything has collapsed all the way to the surface. I can see the starry sky from here through a big round hole. The moonlight quietly descends like a thin curtain, and guided by this faint light, I step on the rubble spiral staircase. I drag my feet like I'm crawling upwards. My stamina is almost empty, and I feel like I'm about to lose consciousness at any moment. It hurts, it's tough, but still, I have to go back. Everyone's waiting. I try my hardest to keep going up. How many floors has it been? How many floors are left? I have no idea. It feels endless. My mind is getting hazy. I'm really dizzy. It's hard to breathe. I can't get quite enough strength in my legs anymore. If I misstep, death awaits me. Now that I think about it, my life has always been like this. If I didn't try to protect people despite being weak, gave up, and just accepted my weakness, I probably wouldn't have had to lead such a hard life. Still, I was the one who chose this path. I can't allow myself to collapse here. There's still things I want to protect. Labrie's face pops into my mind. Is she safe? She's not crying because she's worried about me like she did that day. Is she? Is she finally going to smile at me when I come back? I want to go back quickly and put her mind at ease. I fire myself up like that. But just as I'm finally seeing the surface. Is it because I was feeling relieved? All the strength in my body gives out. I was almost there. But my body slowly tilts. My foot slips out of the spiral staircase, and I'm hanging in the air for just a second, before, idiot, someone holds me and catches me. My vision is blurry, so I can't see this person's face, but I know who it is just by this warmth alone. I'm back. I place my hand on her head, as a way to say I'm alright. But that's all I can do. It's alright now, Labrie's, is the last thing I say before my consciousness falls into a dark abyss. I'm dreaming. Elle, happy birthday. Can we become friends like we were before? You've become strong, Chrom. The place I thought I could never go back to, the people I wanted to protect. This irreplaceable peaceful time. Thank you for taking care of me all this time. See you later, Chrom. I will save everything from here. These are someone's happy memories. You're the Chrom I know. Today was fun, wasn't it? The three of us being together for the first time in a while. It's all right. I'm here. So smile, Labrie's. He was weaker than anyone, but tried so hard to become strong. He shed many tears, vomited a lot of blood, broke many taboo, and saved a lot of people. It's like the heroes I used to look up to when I was little. That's a nice dream I'm having. I feel something dripping on my face, and my consciousness comes back to me. It looks like I'm lying on the floor outside the dungeon. The gentle wind caressing my face smells like flowers and dirt. Rain. Something silently drips on my face, but it's too warm to be rain. I slowly open my eyes, and see Labrie's crying face close to mine. Rise. Idiot. She's mad all of a sudden. She buries her face in my chest like she's hiding her red eyes. You're all battered, and you wouldn't wake up. I was so worried. Sorry. The night sky is starting to look a little white. I guess I really was passed out for quite a while. I look around, and see we're in a field of flowers close to the dungeon. Labrie's carried me all the way here. Wait. Oh number Elle Labrie's. All the enemies are gone, and look, I'm all right too. Don't cry. Sniff. I'm not crying. What do? I start panicking, and end up patting her head. But Labrie's just turns away like she's sulking. Geez, you're not getting out of this that easily, she says, but did she calm down just a little? Her sobbing is dying down. By the way, the dungeon. What happened to the mages in the dungeon? The dungeon is completely destroyed. Master Sirius and a survey team from the capital went in not long ago. I'm sure they came running when they heard of the destruction of the dungeon, but I don't really think there's anything left to investigate. And the mages were all detained by the survey team. Detained? There's my testimony. And they all confessed. They kept asking to be taken to jail quickly or the monster would kill them. What happened to them to make them act like this? Ha. Maybe I threatened them a little too much. I was so focused on saving Labrie's, that I probably released way too much bloodlust. But oh well, it all worked out in the end. I think I can consider this case closed for now. But it really was you, wasn't it? You fought that monster Stampede, didn't you? You've been helping people from the shadows a lot, haven't you? I didn't say anything, but she figured it out. Labrie's then looks directly into my face, like she made up her mind about something. I have a lot to ask you. How come you have that power? How do you know things you shouldn't? I want to know about you. Well, it's only natural for her to have questions. I showed her a lot of things I didn't want her to see. But I can't talk about that yet. Knowing these things might put her in danger. So, I'm sorry, but I can't answer that yet. Of course. But one day I will. One day. When a peaceful future, when I don't have to fight anymore comes, when we reach a happy future, when he can just laugh away my circumstances, I'll talk about it. So just wait until then. Labrie's looks into my eyes for a while. Promise? Yes. I put my little finger around hers, with determination to make that future happen in my mind. I'll be waiting," says Labrys as she finally smiles. The wind carries away the tears that were left on her cheeks, and glitter like transparent gems. "It's the smile I didn't get to see the first time. The future I wanted to see for so long is here." "Well then, let's go back, Labrys." "Yes." I hold out my hand, and Labrys slowly grabs it with embarrassment on her face. And then, we start walking. The morning sun slowly rises in front of us, signaling the end of that long night, and painting the world with a bright color. It's like it's announcing the start of a new future. Chapter 36, The Silver-Haired Girl. This chapter is told from another character's point of view. In the meantime, in the town called Almina, a silver-haired girl looked at the sky as the morning sun was just beginning to rise. She was very reminiscent of the moon. Somehow, her shadow felt white and cold. A smile formed on her face, which itself was like a new moon. "The third Demon King has been born," mumbled the silver-haired girl. A Demon King was said to appear once every few hundred years. One was enough to bring the world to the brink of destruction. And 3 appeared in the span of 2 days. Not only that, but the third Demon King was just too strange. The girl unconsciously squinted. It was morning, but some signs of the previous night still remained in the western sky, and stars still faintly shinned. But, as usual, it wasn't possible to get good or bad omens from the stars. The motion of the stars had become confused since the 10th day of the 4th month. It was most likely because of that boy. Chronogate. "I really should have killed you 10 years ago." The boy who deviated from the rules of this world. An existence too dangerous for this world. If left alone, he would invite a huge catastrophe one day. That bud of disaster had to be plucked before that happened. That alone was the reason why the silver-haired girl was born. With this thought in mind, she lowered her sight to the horizon. She noticed the townspeople's eyes were focused on her. It seemed as though she was attracting attention. One of them approached her. She was holding a wicker basket with dried medicinal herbs in her arms, and appeared to be a perfectly normal girl. Surely she was as unconnected to Demon Kings and menaces to the world as one could be. The silver-haired girl figured she should ignore her, and was about to leave. "But you're Elle, aren't you?" the girl asked while tilting her head. The girl who was called Elle didn't answer. She just stopped completely, with her leg still raised. "Something's different about you, but what's wrong, Elle?" The silver-haired was still silent. "Does she know Elle?" Luna Moonheart, someone the silver-haired girl knew very well. Someone she probably knew better than she knew herself. Artificial Angel Elle equals Luna. A successful example of the Angel Sisters, Elmina, project from 15 years before, and a copy of an angel born out of codename Queen, Raina. An artificial hero created to stand against the prophecy of destruction, and the only target the assassin Night Moonwolf, Sirius, failed to kill. She had plenty of information about her. After all, this girl and Elle were two sides of the same coin. "This means I'm out of time." The silver-haired girl looked around her. As the morning sun rose, more eyes were on her. If she stayed there any longer, Dromomania wouldn't be enough to explain it. It was time to flip. "Wake up, Elle." The silver-haired girl closed her eyes, and the silver hair that looked like a winter's moonlight fluttered in the wind. And as if melted by the spring sun, it was painted a warm golden color. She opened her eyes again, showing eyes the color of a blue sky. She blinked rapidly, seemingly confused. The cold atmosphere that surrounded her was completely gone. If she was like the moon before, she was now like the sun. She felt as bright and warm as a sunny spot, and had a charming brightness to her. Two opposites, moon and sun. "Elle, are you all right?" Elle noticed her friend looking at her face. "Oh, Sarah, why am I outside?" What a relief. It's the same old Elle. "You are." "I was home, waiting for Crom to come back." "Is it your Dromomania again?" I guess. It's been happening a lot lately." Elle tilted her head, and let out a puzzled mew-mew sound. Dromomania. She would suddenly find herself in strange places, with no memory of how she got there. This had been happening to Elle for a long time, so she didn't think about it too much. Yes. More importantly, did you see Crom? Did something happen to him? Well, last night he said he was going out to get Labrys. But it's morning, and he still isn't back. Trouble at home? Wait, tell me more about it. Trouble at home? Elle asked while tilting her head, before she saw someone walking to town out of the corner of her eye. Ah, Crom. Elle's face suddenly shined brightly. The boy was coming back safely, and Labrys was walking next to him. He saved her just like he promised. Sorry Sarah, I have to go. Why yes, good luck. Don't be too careless or he'll get snatched from you. Elle responded with confusion, before taking off running in Crom's direction. I have to run to him quickly. For some reason, she felt she had to hurry. She had to go to Crom quickly. She had to go, had to go, had to go. After all, to her Crom was her fated enemy, who she had to defeat. She felt like a weird thought crossed her mind for a second. No, whatever. Elle forgot about that, and ran towards the boy. Chapter 37, Almoner's Harvest Time. Up. Wake up Mr. Crom. Mr. Crom Chronogate. This is a memory of future me. It's 100 years from now. Civilization has collapsed, and the world itself is in ruins. I was weaker than anyone, and worked desperately hard to become strong enough to protect everyone. I ran through battlefields to attain power, broke all sorts of taboo, and joined the Sorcerer Association that took my hometown and my friends away from me. I defeated demon kings that appeared one after the other, and got the power of a demon king for myself. And 100 years later, I became the world's strongest time mage. But it was too late. By the time I became strong, there was nothing left to protect. I couldn't save anything. The girls who were my childhood friends, the town that raised me, the girl that was always by my side. So I made a decision. I would redo my life from 100 years in the past. Go back to the past, and save everything this time. Please don't cry anymore, Mr. Crom. You're starting a new life. In the ruins of a city painted by the twilight, one girl comes close to me, and tenderly hugs me from the front. Make sure you save this future. And please be happy. I'm sure you are loved by a lot of people. But I don't have to be there. I'm happy that I met you. I reach out with my hand, but don't grab anything. The magic circle releases pale lightning, and the world in front of me is painted with a white light. Let's begin the time leap. Space-time is crumbling. The sight in front of me cracks like glass, and breaks. This time is being erased. The girl in front of me is being erased. There is no turning back. No saving this girl. So, as this world ends, I swear I will save everything this time. Up, Crom. I'm swaying. I feel something shaking my body, and wake up. The white light in front of my eyelids creates a dull stimulation deep inside them. I slowly open my eyes, and don't see that ruined future in front of me. Not a battlefield with blood dancing around, not a laboratory with paper scattered all over the place. This is. The blue sky fills my eyes, and I hear the wind gently shaking flowers. I move my eyes a little, and see a peaceful town below a hill. This is that field of flowers. I used to come here all the time when I was younger. Apparently I dozed off outside. Ah, Crom, you're finally awake. A girl's face peeks in front of me all of a sudden. Geez, you're going to catch a cold if you fall asleep out here. The girl peeks at me with a concerned expression. She reminds me of a spring sun. Her light, golden-colored hair is like melted sunshine, and her light eyes are like a blue sky. She has a flower crown on her head that looks to have been made just now. Looking at her, there's no mistaking it. Oh, yes, it's me, Elle. Elle sounds happy, as an innocent smile forms on her face. The hero, Eluna Moonheart, the childhood friend that supposedly died when I was younger. Originally, she shouldn't be alive at this point, but here she is. That's right. I shake my half-asleep head, and look towards the symbol of this town, the clock tower. The goddess calendar, 20th day of the 4th month of the year 1200, 13 hours and 1 minute. My peaceful hometown, 100 years in the past. It's been 10 days since I've returned to the past, but it all feels like I'm still in a dream when I wake up. It looks like I was really fast asleep. Thanks for waking me up. It's fine Tilda. I got to get a nice good look at your cute sleeping face Tilda. Is that fun? Really fun. Elle says strongly like she's talking about her reason for living. All right. You're really cute when you sleep, kind of like a kid. You groan when I poke your face, and when I grab your hand you grab it back. Elle says like she's teasing me. It looks like she had fun at my expense while I was sleeping. It's kind of embarrassing. If Elle released any amount of bloodlust, I would have woken up immediately. It's her complete lack of ill will that makes it so I can keep sleeping peacefully even when she's near me. But it kind of sounded like you were having a nightmare. Are you alright? Did I? Elle sounds concerned. But I don't remember anything. Did I have another dream about the future? I feel like I dreamed about something important. Remember. A voice suddenly echoes inside my head. Like suggestion, like a curse, like blood being vomited. What? Was that my voice? I think back, but can't seem to remember this voice. I feel like there's someone I must save, but I can't remember. What's wrong, Crom? Nothing. I smile to try to smooth over it, but thank you for worrying, I say while placing my head on Elle's head. Elle freezes completely. Is something wrong? No, nothing. It's just that recently you've been feeling really mature sometimes. Really? Up until recently, you wouldn't have tapped my head like this. Yes. I guess I'm keeping it a secret from Mel and the others that I came to the past, so I need to act in a way that doesn't seem unnatural. This 100-year-wide gap really is big. I'm missing the more minute parts of my memories from this time, so sometimes habits from the future slip through. But at least it doesn't look like Elle minds it too much. Anyway, break over. We have to go back to helping everyone, Elle says with a flustered tone, before turning around to hide her face. Yes, you're right. That's right. We were working. I get up to go and follow her. But, I notice a small blue flower beneath my feet. A forget-me-not, a common wildflower that is typical of the 4th month. I usually see them near water, but I guess they're growing here too. As the name implies, their meaning in the language of flowers is "Don't forget me." Crom, what is it? Nothing, I'm going. I shake off my thoughts, and really follow Elle this time. The sun of the last third of the 4th month is shining. As Almena is in its busiest season, spring is the season of flowers. Other towns start growing things like wheat at this time, but for Almena, the town known as the Flower Town, this is a harvest moon. It's like a festival. I walk through town with Elle, as all the townspeople come together to harvest and separate flowers. The smell of flowers is everywhere, and I can hear girls singing flower stitching songs. Almena isn't surrounded by fields of flowers just because it looks picturesque. There's a lot of demand for flowers from both nobles and commoners. They are used as decoration in important ceremonies: perfume, dried flowers, pressed flowers, potpourri, medicine, insect repellent, dye, herbal tea, conserve, and more. Spring is a very active season in the world of nobility, and many commoners get engaged and are married too. Demand spikes at the start of the next month as the capital hosts a large flower festival. And the one who accepts this demand single-handedly is none other than Almena, a town close to the capital. The ones commanding the harvest of these flowers all the way to their processing is the feudal lord of this town, the Moonheart family. Everyone, let's all get fired up. Says Elle, and the girls knitting flowers all raise them at the same time. It's so peaceful. I really feel that. And to think last time this town was destroyed 10 days ago. I still dream about that. The town crushed by monsters. The nauseating stench of blood. Burning flower petals falling. But the future has changed. I changed it. The first Demon King, ancestral dragon Vibras. The second Demon King, ultimate life form Ultimelt. I've defeated these 2 Demon Kings here in the past. Nothing major happened this past week after Labries was kidnapped by the Sorcerer Association. The future is starting to change in a big way, and most certainly in a good direction. Crom, we don't have enough people over here. Come help. Yes, got it. I roll up my sleeves, and join a circle of townspeople. I'm a freeloader, but I am technically a part of the Moonheart House, and I need to make up for the time I spent sleeping. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Chapter 38, Invitation. We're back. Tilda. I'm really hungry, Tilda. Welcome home, Elle and Crom. A lot of work again today? It's night. After we finished working on processing the flowers, I returned home with Elle, and the dinner that Miss Raina made is already on the table. Every plate is decorated with colorful edible flowers, and the salad and yogurt have plenty of freshly taken pure honey and bee pollen. This is kind of like the local cuisine of Almana, and that sweetness really hits the spot when I'm so tired. I didn't expect paperwork to be so exhausting. Swinging a sword doesn't get me this tired no matter how many times I do it. Elle's father, Mr. Sirius, is exhausted too for once. He's the feudal lord of this town, so he's very busy this time of the year. We keep having a nice, peaceful meal, until I heard you put in a lot of work today, Crom. Says Miss Raina all of a sudden, like she's teasing me. People are talking about it. How apparently this year things are moving a lot faster because of you. I heard that too. People are fighting over what kind of work Crom is going to do. You've really become someone the townspeople can count on. Have I? Someone they can count on. That's something that wouldn't have even crossed my mind the first time around. I couldn't use magic, so I was called Crom the Failure and always felt embarrassed. That really changed over the course of these 10 days. But that means tomorrow is going to be trouble. Elle and Crom are going to the capital, says Miss Raina, and Mr. Sirius scratches his silver hair. Yes, that's tomorrow already. Yes, starting tomorrow, Elle and I will be staying in the capital for a while. It all started 5 days ago. A week ago, I saved my childhood friend Labrys from the Sorcerer Association, and I received an invitation to the Scarlet family mansion, obviously to thank me. The Scarlet family is one of the 4 big houses of the Kingdom of Historia, so I can't reject an invitation from them unless I have a very good reason. And since Almana is peaceful and close to the capital, that reason doesn't exist. That means I accepted that invitation along with Elle. But are you done preparing to travel? Yes, but it's not like the capital is far anyway. Geez Dad, you worry too much. I feel a little relieved as we have a cheerful conversation. It looks like this whole idea of going to the capital is going smoothly. This invitation from the Scarlet family is actually not a coincidence. It all started a week ago, after I saved Labrys. Crom, you're going to keep fighting the Sorcerer Association, right? I want to fight alongside you. I guess I'll just be getting in your way in an actual battle, but I might be able to help in other ways, proposed Labrys, and I answered, well then, can I stay in your house? And can I meet your father? Www. Where did that come from? Labrys smoothed things over with her father very quickly, and 2 days later, we received an invitation. Just when I want to go to the capital, and the royal capital of the Kingdom of Historia. In my previous life, it was destroyed 9 days ago. But since I killed the Demon King that destroyed it, the future changed. Because of that, I can go there after the 11th day of the 4th month, something I couldn't do in my previous life. A land I couldn't step foot in before. People and documents lost in that future are still there now. The royal capital is like a powder keg. Demon King transformation research is being done nearby, and according to documents I read in the future, the 12 sages sneakily come and go frequently. Those people should be the 12 sages of the Sorcerer Association. 12 of the strongest people in the world, and the 12 who caused the destruction in that future. And among them, too, the seeds are already sown. The destruction in that future wasn't a natural disaster, it was man-made. That means I can't just avoid incidents that happened in that future. I have to take the initiative and crush the key people responsible for leading the world to ruin. The groundwork for that was done a week ago, when I fought the Sorcerer Association. Crom, what's wrong? You look all serious again. Before I know it, Elle is peeking at my face. Apparently I worried her because I went silent all of a sudden and looked very serious. I play it off by laughing. I was just thinking about what to do there. Is that it? But you're right, I haven't traveled in a while. I'm really looking forward to it too. Elle innocently smiles. I want to protect this smile. I have to. Status, fame, wealth. I don't need any of that. I just don't want to lose this peaceful time. I don't want to go back to that future where I couldn't save anyone. Save everything. That's the whole reason why I came back to this time. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Chapter 39, traveling cat merchant. So, the next day, it's time to leave for the capital. We put on our traveling outfits early in the morning, and walk out of the house. Do you have the Scarlet family's invitation with you? Is everything ready? Did you forget to pack a handkerchief? Mr. Sirius and Miss Raina sound worried, and ask us if we didn't forget all sorts of things. Geez, you two worry too much. Yes, the capital isn't that far. Why yes. Well, it will be fine if Crom is going. It's not like we're going on a long journey. We need a change of clothes, since we're not coming back today. But it will be fine as long as we have canteens and money. We can just buy anything we need there. Myself and Raina can't leave town during our busiest season, but give my regards to Lord Scarlet. He has been a big help recently with dungeon investigations and town security. Got it. Be careful on the road. I heard that monsters that were in Almena's underground dungeon might be out on the main road. Yes. The lady next door told me about these rumored black shadows that move very quickly. HN? Apparently there are these humanoid shadows that slash living beings and extract their blood. Some people say it might be a new monster weapon developed in secret by the Sorcerer Association. Geez, you two. Don't scare us right before we leave. I wasn't trying to scare you. I just want you to be careful. Those black shadows are probably me. I've been going out during the night and thinning out the monsters that appear on the main road, but I guess from other people's point of view, I just looked like some kind of fiend. Well, it's just a rumor. Ha, I say to try to gloss over it. Well then, Mom, please take care of my flower bed, and don't do any weird arrangements. I know, I won't blow up the flower bed again. What exactly happened? And Dad, don't swing the sword near them and break the flowers with wind pressure. Why yes, I'll be careful. We finish our goodbyes. Have a nice trip. Thank you. Elle and I leave the house, and reach the entrance to the town. Someone you know will be giving us a ride on her wagon, right? Yes, that's right. I talked about it with Nekoko, a traveling merchant. Elle's connections are no joke. Her ability to become friends with anyone incredibly quickly is coming in handy now. But it'll probably be hard to find the right one in the middle of so many wagons. Almena is a small town, but merchant wagons are constantly coming and going at this time of the year. There's so many wagons filled with flowers at the entrance to the town. No, it's fine. Nekoko's really stands out. Stands out? Yes. Just wait, Tilda. Elle says while looking around. There it is, she says while pointing, and I turn my head in that direction. I see, I get it. Yes, that wagon really does stand out. I mean, it's not even a horse-drawn wagon. Instead of horses, a giant cat is attached to it. And in front of this cat-drawn wagon is Nyan. I hear a troubled-sounding voice and see a big leather backpack shaking. Nekoko. Nyan. The backpack suddenly turns around, and behind it is a small girl with cat ears. I guess I didn't see her because that small body was hiding behind that big backpack. She has fluffy light brown hair, and is wearing an overcoat with embroidery that is probably traditional clothing of her people. But peeking out of that hair and overcoat are cat ears and a tail. Is she a cat scythe, a race of cat people that interacts with human society? It's a very mysterious race, but they're said to have built a country somewhere in the world that surpasses any of the countries of humans, and sometimes they come to human towns to sell their goods. In that ruined future, Cat Scythe were the only distribution network, but in this age, they're still merchants. Nyan Miss Elanian. It's been a while. Nyan tilde. Nyan. The cat girl approaches Elle, rubs her head on her, and starts smelling her. It's like a cat that's attached to its owner. She's even closer to Elle than I thought. I see you're buying a lot of flowers again this year. Nyafafu. Almena's flowers are popular with the nobles, my good source of revenue in the Cape Annual. I get to charge outrageous Naesis money just rolls in Nyan. Says the girl named Nekoko with kind of a dark smile. Nyan. She notices me looking at her and stares at me. She then realizes I'm with Elle, and bows. Excuse me Nyan. My name is Nekoko Catwalker, a traveling salesman Cat Scythe. Let's get along free of charge Nyan. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Chapter 40, Wagon Repair. Excuse me Nyan. My name is Nekoko Catwalker, a traveling salesman Cat Scythe Nyan. Let's get along free of charge Nyan. Ah, hello. I am Crom, and I am Elle's childhood friend. A female friend of my childhood friend. It feels kind of awkward. It looks like we're the same age, but I can't help but start speaking politely. Anya tilde. So you're that Crom Nyan. That? I tilt my head. Nekoko slowly walks towards me, and starts going around me and smelling me. Nyan. This smell feels nice and warm Nyan, but it also feels rich and refined like an old clock Nyan. It's a weird smell, like two smells blended together Nyan. Nyafu. I might end up liking it Nyan tilde. Someone I just met is commenting on my smell like some sort of sommelier. She just keeps smelling me for a while, until she suddenly claps her hands like she's satisfied. I knew it Nyan. It's the smell that's always on Miss Elania Nyan. So he's that Crom Nyan. Fufafu tilde. Yes, he's that Crom. Elle looks proud for some reason. What do you mean that? Miss Elania is always bragging about how her boyfriend Crom did this and that Nyan. Bo? It's not like that. But Miss Elania, I sense the smell of a mating season even more than usual on you Nyan. Is this a date Nyan? Nay. What are you saying Nyan? Elle, she's infecting you. Elle gets flustered, and Nekoko has a mischievous smile on her face. She's having fun teasing Elle. But the Crom Miss Elania keeps talking about sounded stronger and cooler Nyan. The real thing looks weak and like he has a low annual income Nyan. See Crom isn't weak. And his annual income isn't low. It's actually zero. Nyan. Cat Scythe can understand people very well just by smelling them Nyan. And Miss Elania looks like the type to get tricked for free by bad guys Nyan. Mew. It's alright Elle. I don't care. Elle starts puffing her cheeks and I rush to step in the middle. Well, she's right in a way. I have memories of the future, but my body is still the one from when I was a failure. Thanks to my distorted magic circuits, my magic energy is zero and I can't use normal magic. If she's gauging my strength by just smelling it, it makes sense that she feels I'm weak. Still, what an interesting ability. Can Nekoko's sense of smell be used to find that? I'll have to keep that in mind. More importantly, it looked like something was troubling you, Nekoko. Anyway, I don't want the mood to turn bad because they're talking about me, so I change the subject. Something's been on my mind for a while. Naya. Well, Nekoko's ears droop, and it looks like this is hard for her to say. One of the wagon's wheels is broken Nyan, she says while pointing to a broken wheel next to the wagon. The giant cat attached to the wagon was so impactful that I didn't look at the back. It looks like the wagon is being supported by a wooden box. It won't go anywhere like this, will it? Nyan. Nekoko sighs. It's been raining a lot Nyan. The wheel got stuck in mud and got all bendy Nyan. Freshness is everything when it comes to flowers, but now I can't take them Nyan. There's a saying around here, the 4th month's rain brings bread and wine. Everyone welcomes the season's rain, but for a merchant, I guess rain is a mortal enemy. Wheels get stuck in dirt roads, and horseshoes and wheels become slippery on stone-paved roads. And wagons break very easily. Naya, Nekoko failed to honor her promise will haunt her for the rest of her life, but Miss Elania will have to go with another wagon. Nyan, says Nekoko with some tears in the corners of her eyes. No, we can fix this. Yes, Crom is here, so it's fine. Nyan, I crouch down near the wagon and check its state. The wheel is broken, the metal ring has come off, the axle is bent. This would usually take a lot of work to fix. However, so, is it really impossible Nyan? Asks Nekoko with uncertainty in her eyes. But I respond with a smile. No, it's all right. Are there any parts missing? No Nyan. By the way, when did it break? About an hour ago Nyan. Why do you ask Nyan? Then there's no problem. Nyan. Those are the two most important things when it comes to fixing things with time magic. No parts are missing, and it hasn't been long since it broke. If these two conditions are met, it's easy to fix anything no matter how badly it's broken. Time. Turn back, I whisper, and a magic circle that looks like a dial of a watch appears. This is the time reversal technique used to roll back the time of a target. The hands of the clock start moving counterclockwise, and the broken wheel not only fixes itself, but it also returns to its place. I hear what sounds like the gears snapping into place, and the wagon returns to before it was broken. Is that good? Nyan? Nekoko's tail points up. She goes around the wagon and checks its parts. Yes Nyan. This here is good too Nyan. Nyan. Woo Nyan. It's like the wagon's new Nyan. That's because I rolled its time back to when it was almost new. It's the least I could do, since Elle and I will be using it too. What did you do Nyan? I've never seen magic that fixes things so quickly Nyan. And I didn't smell any magic energy on you. So how come you can use magic Nyan? Foo fun. I don't really get it, but this is Chrom's power. I don't get any of it either Nyan. Nekoko's tail forms a question mark. But as they say, a talented cat hides its claws Nyan. Sorry for what I said earlier about you being weak and having poor annual income Nyan. Don't worry about it. Anyway, let's all get along free of charge Nyan. And sell things together Nyan. I can smell a lot of profit if I have you with me Nyan. Why yes. It's a complete about face. She's so crazy about money that it actually goes back around in that it's so pure that I can't hate it. I'm glad you two managed to get along so quickly. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Well, I guess I should try to form a positive relationship. Well then Nyan. How much for the repairs Nyan? Nekoko asks hesitantly. It's going to be expensive. Nyan. No, you don't have to pay anything. Nyan, just keep being good to Elle. You sound like an old man Nyan. Oh, old. Then, as a thank you, I'll let you squish my hands free of charge for one day Nyan. You usually charge for that? Of course Nyan. Money is God Nyan. I feel like I have this girl figured out. So, after a little disturbance, we get on Nekoko's wagon, and head to the capital. Join my Patreon to support me. Chapter 41, Traveling by Wagon. So I've met a cat scythe merchant named Nekoko. Elle and I get on her wagon's cart, and head with her to the capital. Traveling here in the cargo cart is surprisingly pleasant. The road is well kept, since it's a main road near the capital, and apparently cat scythe wagons have plate springs on the axles, making them shake less. The spring sun makes me drowsy, as I look at the sky and grassy fields. Let's take a break here Nyan. We take another break. I guess sitting on the wagon is more tiring than it looks. But we also have to let the giant cat pulling the wagon take a break every 1 or 2 hours. Road, check. Wagon, check. Cargo, check. Nyan. Everything's good Nyan. At this rate, we should reach the capital just past noon Nyan. Nekoko gives the giant cat a barrel filled with water while humming. The capital is pretty close, but it still takes 4 or 5 hours to get there by wagon. Labi runs through this road every day. Well, she's a fast runner. And then, Elle's stomach growls. Nekoko and I look at each other as Elle's face turns a little red. I was just thinking that it'd be nice to eat in a grassy plain like this. Yes Nyan, it's lunchtime already, so let's eat Nyan, says Nekoko while cheerfully taking something out of her backpack. Well then everyone. The trading session is open Nyan. We have crunchy dried fish and warm silver vine tea Nyan. These perfect traveling companions are in an excellent state of preservation Nyan. And just for today, I'm offering them at the friend's price of 3 silver coins Nyan. It's starting. She wants to do business even with something like this. But no, I brought lunch. You did Nyan. I take out a few relatively big canteens from my bag, and time. Turn back. I chant quietly, and freshly made, warm food pops out of the canteens, plates and everything. Nyan, wah, a full course meal. There's more if you want. No, hold on Nyan. Nekoko says while waving her tail. What kind of response is wah, a full course meal? Miss Elania. A freshly cooked meal just popped out of canteens Nyan. And where did those plates even come from Nyan? It's magic. I leave it at that. But here's how it works. Time magic style 3-minute cooking. 1. Take a cooked meal. 2. Crush it into a fine paste, plates included. 3. Put it all in canteens. 4. Turn the canteens time back when it's time to eat. 5. Done. This means there's less things to carry too, so it's really useful when I'm going somewhere. It's a time magic life hack. Don't you find this all strange, Miss Elania? Well, it's Chrom, So it's scary how people get used to things. Nyan. Nekoko's ears droop, and then she looks over at the food. You can eat too if you want. B, but I'm sure it's expensive. Nyan. No, it's free. Are you God? Nyan. I guess her appetite got the best of her. She puts aside everything she was saying and accepts a plate. It's good. It's good. Nyan. I've never eaten any of this stuff before. Nyan. What country is this cooking from? Nyan. Ah, I'm curious about that too. Crumb's food has a strange taste. Well, I've gotten into creative cuisine lately. It's not like I'm good at cooking or anything, but I experienced a lot of different eras in different countries in my previous life. I still know how to make simple but delicious food from the future. Do you want fish or meat for the main dish? Meat. Fish, of course. Nyan. Answering meat would be heresy. Nyan. HN. It's like a picnic now. Tilda. And the food tastes better than usual. Tilda. I'm glad you like it. I'm enjoying it too. Food really is best eaten right after cooking. In my previous life, all I ate was cold vegetable rice gruel, so I figured I might as well enjoy what I eat in this second life. Traveling is fun, isn't it, Nekoko? I don't think you should assume traveling is always like this. Nyan. We finish our meal, get on a cat-drawn wagon again, and keep going. After shaking in the cart for a while longer. Ah, I can see the capital, Nekoko says while pointing forward. I can see the capital's walls peeking from beyond a hill. We're almost there. HN tilde. Nu tilde. Dot. Nu tilde. What's going on with you? Has been puffing her cheeks and releasing magic energy. Huff, huff. Training to increase my maximum magic energy. That's what you're doing? Now that I think about it, she has a magic invocation ring on her finger. Yes, everyone does it, you know. In order to increase your maximum magic energy, you need to release it until it's empty. Ah, really? I get the feeling that I did read that in a book about magic energy of this era. Magic energy supercompensation theory or something like that, but looking at it now, it's really primitive. Well, in this era, mages still have their own secret magic, and textbooks all have shady civilian magic. And since their techniques are so inefficient, they need staves or magic books to help them cast spells. Without these invocation items, they can't activate magic. That's why everyone trains using magic like this in this era. But I can't sit back and watch. No, emptying your magic energy is not only inefficient, but also dangerous. You should stop doing it right now. Whether it's magic energy or muscles, supercompensation doesn't get you a lot of gains. In fact, the risk of getting hurt is bigger than the reward. You could break your magic circuits and find yourself unable to use any magic, but even worse, you could burn your nerves and never move again for the rest of your life or even die. It's hard to stretch the amount of magic energy past what you were born with anyway, so the focus should be on techniques to better control it. Elle has a blank look on her face. I guess I got carried away without realizing it. Sorry. I got too worked up. Number. I was just surprised because you started talking so fast all of a sudden. You really like magic, don't you? Why, yes. It's not like I really like it, but I did offer my first life to it, so I feel like I can talk about it for weeks straight. But why do you want to train all of a sudden? Well, Elle pouts a little. I don't like to just sit back and wait when you do something dangerous. She's talking about what happened a week ago. She was pretty upset when she learned I snuck out and fought the Sorcerer Association by myself. I get that you don't want me to do anything dangerous, but I want to help. And if I can't, I want to at least be able to protect myself. I see. I get how Elle feels so much it hurts. In my previous life, that's all I could think about. And now that I think about it, Labrys said something similar a week ago. I don't want to make either of them fight, but in any case, they should be strong enough to defend themselves. It's not like I'll be by their side to protect them all the time. As our enemies increase, I don't know if I can protect everything by myself. At the very least, I want to make it so people on the level of this era's first-class mages can't kidnap them again. All right. I scratch my head while I accept it. I'll teach you magic. Join my Patreon to support me.